Chapter 248, Multi-faceted, 5. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Wawum. The dragon veins converge, forming a massive clump of spiritual energy. Blood soul. I bring over pieces of the nascent soul that I scattered throughout Thunder Spirit Island during the early stages of creating the nascent soul of the Earth tribe, and place them into the cluster of spiritual energy. Spirit of the mysterious bizarre goo. Then, I insert the mysterious bizarre goo into the clump to form a consciousness. Wawum. My vision splits in two. I look at the nascent soul floating before me, surrounded by a faint red aura. And from the perspective of the nascent soul, I can also see myself. It's my second nascent soul, created by combining the techniques of the blood soul and the mysterious bizarre goo. As long as this second nascent soul is alive, I can use it to cheat death once even if my original nascent soul is destroyed. Swoosh. I insert the second nascent soul into Yuan Yu's body. Kagugugu. Energy surges within Yuan Yu's body, and Yuan Yu, who had been at the grand perfection of core formation, rises to the nascent soul stage. Since Yuan Yu is kind of my tool, there's no heavenly tribulation even when he reaches the nascent soul stage. With this, I now have at least two entities at the nascent soul stage at my disposal right away. Hong Fan and Yuan Yu. ZZZT. I fill Yuan Yu's body with my curse spells, modifying Yuan Yu so that I can use him as a curse doll whenever necessary. Utilizing Yuan Yu's cockroach-like tenacity as my curse doll to assist me will elevate my power by a notch. Congratulations, Master. Hong Fan, standing next to me with his back hunched and hands behind his back, speaks. It's nothing. At best, he's a usable curse doll. I look at Hong Fan and say, rather, Hong Fan, I have higher expectations for you. Hee, that's an overestimation. Overestimation? What? I smirk at the tingling aura emanating from Hong Fan. A deadly level of poison energy. Poison, although seemingly weak on the surface, can wield a power stronger than any weapon depending on how it's used. Moreover, if mixed correctly, it can inflict fatal wounds regardless of the opponent's level. Therefore, even though Hong Fan's realm is only at the early stage of nascent soul, he can potentially inflict fatal injuries on cultivators several stages above him by using poison. The poison cultivation Hong Fan has mastered. There's a significant difference between poison methods of cultivators and that of martial artists. Martial artists typically hide poison in pouches to coat their weapons during emergencies, sprinkle it in powder form, mix it in food, disperse it in the wind, or dissolve it in water to poison their opponents. This is the usual toxic method martial artists learn. However, the poison cultivation of cultivators is different. They accumulate toxic energy in their bodies, cultivate poison pills that can store and mix poisons, and release them from within. Cultivators who practice poison cultivation often consume potent poisons to enhance their cultivation. Such cultivators usually have immunity to the poisons stored in their poison pills and specialize in creating endless variations of poisons to combat their enemies. And in Hong Fan's case, early on, that is, during the Qi building stage, I shared some of my knowledge on poison cultivation with him, but afterwards, he self-taught himself and developed unheard of poisons. He advanced his poison cultivation on his own and has long since surpassed me in terms of poison. Your poison is something even I would find difficult to neutralize, so you will be a great asset to me in the future. Be mindful. My poison is nothing special. These material poisons can be detoxified with some time. They are merely ordinary. The true pinnacle of poison is your curse poison, Master. In front of it, whatever poison I develop cannot compare. Well, a curse isn't exactly a poison, but regardless. I look at Hong Fan. Hong Fan had succeeded in his transformation, and Yuan Yu had ascended to the nascent soul stage. Although Yuan Yu is essentially a backup life or a curse doll, I have regained all the powers of my prime with this. Your role from now on is crucial. Yes, I will engrave it in my heart. I recall the incident a few days ago when John Myung-hoon was enchanted by the heavenly lightning banner. One must never be careless when dealing with entities related to a true immortal. The memory of Thunder Spirit Island evaporating when I carelessly summoned Zhongli after feeling reassured by looking at the celestial energy. Having experienced tense confrontations with Xiao Huiol, I know how cunning and sinister those related to true immortals can be. Although I rescued John Myung-hoon before he called Zhongli. At that time, Zhongli had done something to John Myung-hoon by manipulating the lightning energy in his upper dantian. Knowing this, I can't be careless. I have to prepare even if it means overreacting. It wouldn't be surprising if the owner of Heavenly Punishment shows up above the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect right now. I look at Hong Fan and Yuan Yu, and beyond them, at the main building of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. I am currently in a valley a little distance away from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect to elevate Yuan Yu to the nascent soul stage. It's about time. As I look up at the sky, a golden light flashes in the distance, and Han Wei flies towards me. Unlike before, she openly brings along a cultivator at the heavenly being stage, not concealing her attendant at all. Her gaze falls on Yuan Yu and Hong Fan as she approaches me. I heard your pet beast underwent transformation. What's that one over there? One of my forces. Think of him as my subordinate. Well, as long as your power increases, it's good for me. Han Wei smirks and asks, so, is everything going as planned? Yes. I plan to expand my influence step by step. In fact, many followers have recently joined me in the sect, which will make it easier to take action when the time comes. Haha, that's very good. Then, what's the reason you call me today? To amend the content of the secret pact we made before. Oh, several years ago, I made a secret pact with Han Wei, who wanted to establish a close relationship with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. The content of the pact is as follows. Law Enforcer Han Wei of Penglai Palace and the future sect leader Jin Eun-hyun of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect agree to the following secret pact. If the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect loses its legitimacy due to an unforeseen accident, the Law Enforcer of Penglai Palace will assist the successors of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect in rebuilding it. During this process, the Law Enforcer of Penglai Palace will support the legitimacy of the newly rebuilt Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and unconditionally support the decisions of its leadership to prove its legitimacy. If the rebuilt Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect successfully restores at least 20% of its original size in terms of legitimacy, the sect will appoint a representative from Penglai Palace as an honorary Grand Elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. The rebuilt Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect promises a sisterhood alliance with Penglai Palace through the future appointed honorary Grand Elder. The rebuilt Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect will establish a shrine to honor the ancestors of the old Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and allow members of sects allied with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect to pay their respects. This is the content of the secret pact between Han Wei and me. The unforeseen accident mentioned in the first article is in anticipation of me stealing the Heavenly Lightning Banner in the future. A secret pact made to seal the Heavenly Lightning Banner in the Head Realm if John Myung-hoon turns out to be a lost cause. If John Myung-hoon turns out to be hopeless, I plan to steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner, declare a new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, and transfer the sect's main base to the Head Realm. The second clauses support the legitimacy of the newly rebuilt Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, means that even if there is opposition from Jin Byuk-ho or the Grand Elders, Han Wei, as the law enforcer of Penglai Palace, will support it. Furthermore, the legitimacy of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, represented by the divine object, the Heavenly Lightning Banner. The clause stating unconditionally support the decisions of its leadership to prove its legitimacy means assisting and supporting me when I go to seal the Heavenly Lightning Banner in the Head Realm. Clauses 1 and 2 are about providing aid for me to seal the Heavenly Lightning Banner through the new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, while clauses 3, 4, and 5 are for Han Wei's benefit. Clauses 3 and 4 will make the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and Penglai Palace closely related, and clause 5 is to allow Han Wei's father, Han Won, to visit the shrine honoring the ancestors of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. According to her, her father, Grand Cultivator Han Won of the integration stage, still longs for his true love. Therefore, even without us marrying, this arrangement will sufficiently satisfy both parties. I can seal the Heavenly Lightning Banner. The Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect can avoid destruction. Han Wei can gain her father's recognition, and Han Won can feel the presence of his true love through his daughter. It's a win-win pact for all parties. Initially, I was content with this arrangement. But thinking about what happened to John Myung-hoon with the Heavenly Lightning Banner a few days ago, I became anxious. Originally, I planned to create many factions within the sect that follow me, take the Heavenly Lightning Banner, and declare a separate sect. That would indeed prove the legitimacy. However, I would like to add a clause that even if I take only the Heavenly Lightning Banner without a part of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's forces, you will still recognize me personally as the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Do you think that makes sense? Han Wei furrows her brows. The reason I agreed to join hands with you is because my father loves the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. If there are no disciples, and only the Heavenly Lightning Banner and you personally are recognized as the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, my father will never acknowledge you as such. I have received the Jin surname, which signifies the position of sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, and I have mastered all the methods of the sect. With only the Heavenly Lightning Banner, which signifies the legitimacy of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, it would not be difficult to accept new disciples and establish another Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect as the sect leader. I'm not convinced. I read Han Wei's intent. It's not about convincing her. She wants me to offer more favorable conditions. What do you want? I ask, realizing she wants some benefits. After all, her goal is to gain recognition from her father through her relationship with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. So, I am prepared to create an honorary position that can symbolize her relationship with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. However, Hanwei's next words exceed my expectations. You said you wouldn't marry me or become dual cultivation partners, right? Yes, but then become my adopted son. Affiliation to a sect doesn't depend on blood relations, so even if you become my adopted son, there won't be any problem in the rebuilding of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Considering the age difference, this should have been the correct approach from the start. It will give me more to say to my father, making it a beneficial condition for both of us, no? I'm not that much younger than her. What is this? I stare at her in disbelief for a moment, dumbfounded. I press my temples with my index finger, feeling a headache. Becoming an adopted son seems rather difficult. Then it will be difficult for me to modify the pact. Instead, how about making the vice sect leader who will assist me your adopted son? The sect leader position involves a lot of symbolic duties, so if I become your adopted son, I might even have to pass the gene surname to you. But for a vice sect leader, there's no need for the gene surname. And in terms of actual authority, they might even have more than the sect leader. Since I plan to appoint Yuan as the vice sect leader anyway, it doesn't matter to me. Well, okay. Fortunately, it seems my persuasion works as Han Wei nods in agreement. But I have a condition. What is it? Honestly, recognizing and supporting you alone as the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect doesn't make sense. So, even if you obtain the Heavenly Lightning Banner and establish a separate Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, there must be at least 3 individuals from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect who follow you. Understand, including myself, is a total of 4 people acceptable? Yes. Can you gather that many? I ponder. If I mention sealing the Heavenly Lightning Banner, Yun Wei will definitely agree, and being Yun Wei's descendant, Yun Jin can be swayed to my side. That's one person. Jin Y, Jin Byuk-ho, and others would flip if I said I was going to steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner. John Myung-hoon. I'd have to tell him the truth to persuade him, but that might drive him mad, so that's definitely not an option. The same goes for Jin So-hei, who is one with John Myung-hoon. I think about the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's key figures and the disciples who pledged loyalty to me. Those who claim to follow me are loyal to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect system, not to me personally. They all have high pride in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's history and will never accept what I'm doing. So, I start to filter through those I can persuade, and eventually, another candidate emerges. Hong Su-ryong. If it comes to it, I might be able to persuade Hong Su-ryong. That makes 2 people. And lastly, since Yuan Yu has mastered the Taiji Quaking Lighting Body, I can insist that Yuan Yu is also a disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. This way, the numbers add up. That makes 3 people. Including myself, that totals 4 people. Yes, I can gather the required number of people. Good, then I'll modify the pact. We add a special clause to the pact. In essence, if I am to steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner due to an unforeseen event and flee, and if I have 3 disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect who follow me, she will recognize and support us 4 as the legitimate new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. With this, the conditions are set. If John Myung-hoon fails to meet my expectations and doesn't grow quickly enough, I plan to steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner and run away under the pretext of establishing a new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect with my followers. However, in case of an emergency, if something happens between John Myung-hoon and the Heavenly Lightning Banner, forcing me to steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner hastily, as long as I have 3 supporters, I can be recognized by Han Wei and Penglai Palace for my legitimacy. Even if I steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner and run away, as long as only the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is chasing me, I should be able to hold out. My concern is if the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect will issue a bounty for traitor Seo Eun-hyun to the Human Race Grand Alliance. While I can handle the power of one sect, it'd be difficult to withstand if the elites of the Human Race Grand Alliance came after me. But having made such a pact with Han Wei, I will have the support of Penglai Palace, one of the 6 major sects of the human race. This way, no bounty should be issued. After modifying the pact, Han Wei leaves, and I return to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Then before any unforeseen events occur, I need to persuade Hong Su-ryong. I head to Hong Su-ryong's cave residence. I wonder will Hong Su-ryong accept such a proposal. Although it's for preventing the demise of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, it is entangled with true immortal-related matters, so I can't properly explain. Furthermore, what I am planning is essentially a betrayal. Even if I propose this, given her reclusive nature, she probably won't go telling the sect leader. Though we are nominally dual cultivation partners, I doubt she will accept such betrayal. I'm not sure if she will accept or not. Given her character, she wouldn't spill this to anyone else, so there's no issue in terms of secrecy. The real problem is her refusing to accompany me. With a nervous heart, I enter her cave residence. And then, all right, yes. I'm dumbfounded at her refreshingly straightforward acceptance. Well, as long as you let me continue my research and cultivation without any issues. Besides, you've practically mastered all the lightning path methods of the sect. You have the Gene surname. And, as you said, if you obtain the Heavenly Lightning Banner, there shouldn't be any major issues regarding legitimacy. No, that's not the problem. I ask in bewilderment at her too easy acceptance. Isn't this essentially a betrayal against the current sect leader and the supreme sect master? You're okay with accepting this so easily. What's the issue? Historically, the leaders of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect have always devoted themselves to the sect. I might not say it often, but I've always respected them. And, Hong Surayong speaks while looking into my eyes. Don't even think about avoiding my gaze. Dripping with the intent of solely for the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, while playing coy about betrayal won't work on me. She laughs. No matter what, you're not intending to harm the sect, are you? I nod slowly, without saying a word. Seeing my silence, Hong Surayong continues. Just promise me one thing. What is it? If what you've said happens, and you end up needing to act after obtaining the Heavenly Lightning Banner, the elders and grand elders of the sect will surely mobilize to capture you. That's very likely. I know you're hiding your true strength. I feel it every time we spar. Even if I give it my all, I wouldn't be a match for you. To even briefly match you, I'd have to invoke all my life force and cultivation. Your true strength is probably on par with, if not surpassing, the supreme sect master. I'm taken aback, but manage to control my expression and intent. If you find yourself facing the elders and grand elders, show mercy, so none of them end up dead. I promise not to let anyone die. Good. That's enough for me. I look at the easily accepting Hong Surayong. After a moment of silence, I ask, but why do you think a nascent soul stage elder like me would have such power? I have never truly shown my full strength in our spars, always ensuring she couldn't gauge my real capabilities. Yet, unexpectedly, Hong Surayong has a sense of my real strength. Hearing my question, Hong Surayong smiles slightly. A woman's intuition. At her response, I can't help but let out a bitter laugh. Thank you. That's all I could say. Karurum. Dai Seo Un Hyun. I dodged John Myung-hoon's lightning while still beating him. His skills are improving. No, even with Hong Fan reaching nascent soul, my daily life remained the same. I continued to teach John Myung-hoon, focusing on elevating his cultivation through the methods of the Azure Heaven Creation sect. And it seems to be effective, as John Myung-hoon's cultivation and skills have been rapidly improving lately. Crackle. Red lightning, alive and unpredictable, shoots towards me from an unexpected angle. Swish. The lightning momentarily turns into a sharp blade, leaving a small cut on my cheek. Impressive. I genuinely look at John Myung-hoon with astonishment. The red lightning quaking scripture has evolved to the point where it can be considered a completely different method. In about 100 years, you might manage to put a couple more scratches on my cheek. I tease John Myung-hoon, provoking him as I hit him. John Myung-hoon's intent reddens further with my words, and each time, his lightning grows even more intense. Provoking John Myung-hoon's anger is also part of the training. Since he's been pampered within the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, provoking his anger to elevate his cultivation is quite effective. Damn it, Quajajijic. John Myung-hoon unleashes all his lightning energy at me, then collapses to the ground, drained. I speak to the fallen John Myung-hoon. Well done for today. Just keep growing like this. He breathes heavily, calming his anger, and I conclude today's training and return to my cave residence. Grow quickly, John Myung-hoon. Though I have plans to steal the Heavenly Lightning Banner as a last resort, that's insurance for the worst-case scenario. The best outcome will be for John Myung-hoon to awaken his abilities and seal the Heavenly Lightning Banner with his own hands. To prevent the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's demise, it's necessary to expedite John Myung-hoon's growth. Damn it. John Myung-hoon curses at Seo Un Hyun, who had left for his cave residence. Damn, it's still not enough. He irritably stands up and paces around. I need more. What Seo Un Hyun didn't realize is that John Myung-hoon's red intent includes not only anger, but also inferiority. Recently, John Myung-hoon's sense of inferiority has been intensifying. More. John Myung-hoon sits down and operates his method, gathering lightning energy. He focuses on the voice within the lightning. Whoom. Whisper. A strange voice reveals to him a cultivation method far more advanced than the 7 lightning quaking scripture. It's a method even more suited for controlling lightning. ZZZT. John Myung-hoon feels something leaving his body as he follows the voice, but doesn't care. Anyway, as long as he follows the voice's instructions to guide his spiritual power, he gains even stronger power. He doesn't mind that his feelings of inferiority and anger strangely intensify as he focuses more on the voice. He has always had an inferiority complex, after all. I will definitely, by following the guidance of the lightning, surpass Seo Eun-hyun. Driven by the desire to surpass Seo Eun-hyun, John Myung-hoon is step by step growing stronger. Chapter 249, Heavenly Tribulation 1. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Russell. I sit quietly, watching Kim Yun perform the paired wing dance. She executes each move flawlessly, without missing a beat. How long have I been staring at her? Eun-hyun appa? I've completed all 10,000 repetitions of the paired wing dance you assigned. She approaches me, wiping off her sweat. Eun-hyun appa? It's only when she shakes me that I snap back to reality. Sorry. I was lost in thought for a moment. After a brief pause, she looks at me worriedly, and then checks my forehead. Eun-hyun appa, have you been like this often lately? Oh. I hold my head and nod. Sorry, I'll be more careful. No, I'm not saying that. Just don't overdo it. Having pushed the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon to its limit myself, I know. Eun-hyun appa, you must be exhausted from pushing your consciousness to its extremes, right? Yes. I chuckled bitterly. It seems she noticed, despite my attempts to hide it. Teaching John Myung-hoon and Kim Yun, instructing the transformed Hong Fan in martial arts, and sharing insights about poison had been my routine for months. Lately, I found myself zoning out more frequently, a consequence of pushing my consciousness to the extreme, just as she had pointed out. Thanks for worrying about me, Yana. Shall we take a look at your paired wing dance then? Yes. After watching her perform the dance and giving feedback on her cultivation, we wrap up the day's training. See you tomorrow, Yana. Yes, and as I said, don't overdo it. I won't. Swoosh. I wake up with a start. Huff. I'm drenched in sweat. Dreaming through the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon, my body continued to practice the sword in the cave residence even as I slept, training with the sword all night long. Dawn is approaching, but I don't let the sun rise. Accelerate. ZZZT. As my consciousness accelerates, time seems to slow. Accelerate. At ultimate pinnacle, the acceleration of my conscious could only achieve up to a tenfold increase. Accelerate. But after reaching treading heavens, tenfold acceleration became the base level. Depending on the current state, I can accelerate much more beyond that. How long have I been compressing my consciousness to the extreme and accelerating? I see the morning sun hanging on the horizon rising exceedingly slowly. The wind slowed to the point where I could see the movement of floating dust particles with the naked eye. The grass stands still, not swaying in the wind. The morning dew stops in midair. Or rather, it seems to stop, moving so slowly that it appears frozen. No, precisely, my consciousness is just accelerating that much. I push my consciousness to its maximum acceleration. Ultimate pinnacle, beyond the path, treading heavens. Along with the power of the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon and a vast consciousness domain equivalent to a heavenly being. I mobilize all the power of my consciousness and successfully enter a world nearly at a standstill, compressing time to an extreme extent. Crackle. My head feels like it's on fire. I want to escape this insane world immediately. It feels like my upper dantian is about to explode from the overload. Crackle. This state is not meant to be maintained in full consciousness for long, but I endure. I force myself to endure in this crazily still world, experiencing time almost at a standstill. And in that state, I begin to unfold all the martial arts I have learned, created, and used. Severing Mountain swordsmanship unfolds. Within it, the complexities of the severing vein saber method, the subtleties of the fighting monster hidden weapon technique, and the intricacies of the fighting monster traceless fist. The flurry of the dragon form's soaring claw, entwined with the maneuvers of the parallel wing spear and paired wing dance. My sword moves beyond the planes, so despite swinging at tremendous speeds, there's no shockwave dispersion. Thus, in the dark dawn, I rise in my cave residence and quietly, unbeknownst to anyone, rapidly perform Severing Mountain swordsmanship 42,000 times. Huff. I'm drenched in cold sweat. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Though my body is not tired, enduring in this world of extreme standstill brings with it a brain-burning agony just by enduring. But I don't stop. Instead, I utter a single phrase. There's not enough time. Indeed, it's insufficient. Far too insufficient. At any moment, it feels as though that terrifying true immortal will crack open the heavens like a lid and peer down at us. Yet, the time allotted to me was at best around 50 years. With just 50 years, a dullard can accomplish nothing. Then what should be done? I have to squeeze every last bit out of my brain, create time however possible, and advance as far as I can. I must reach beyond treading heavens within the given time. Boom. As I unfold Severing Mountain swordsmanship for the last time, I'm unable to control the sensation of crossing the plane, and a shockwave spreads through the void. In a world nearly at a standstill, the shockwave activates the protective formations installed around my cave residence. Rumble. Although the impact should have shaken the mountain, fortunately, the protective formations absorb the impact, only stirring the air inside my cave residence. Huff. Huff. I take a moment to catch my breath. The pain that had been constricting my mind disperses for a moment. But that's it. I take a moment's respite and immediately begin to perform the Severing Mountain swordsmanship again. Sizzle. It feels like steam is coming out of my head. Not just my consciousness, but my nascent soul itself feels wrung out and abused. Continuing like this will undoubtedly cause issues with my nascent soul. Yet, I don't stop. Wawoom. In one corner, Yuan Yu, who is accumulating spiritual power in seclusion, bears all the stress that's placed on my nascent soul as a curse. The burden that is placed on my nascent soul enters inside Yuan Yu. Boom. Yuan Yu's head explodes. Not stopping there, the area above Yuan Yu's neck boils and bubbles for a while before it begins to regenerate properly, and his blood soul suffers severe damage. The burden I transferred to Yuan Yu is too great. It's the result of desperation to extend the time given to a dullard. It can't possibly be at a normal level. But, even so, I can't ascend to the next stage. I'm still lacking gradual cultivation. More. If it's still not enough, then I just need to fill it more. I clench my teeth and swing the Severing Mountain swordsmanship to its extreme, accelerating my consciousness until sunrise. Originally, to keep the secret pact with Han Wei, I had to gather my followers within the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. However, the young disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect who had been following me recently started to stealthily avoid me whenever they see me. Crackle. Only John Myung-hoon, whom I consistently trained, would substitute his morning greetings with a lightning baptism without fail. Woom. I swing my club to deflect John Myung-hoon's lightning directly. Recently, I haven't been reinforcing the club with energy to prevent it from breaking or getting damaged, aside from making sure it stayed intact. Just infusing it with the bare minimum energy of the Qi refining initial stage. I continue practicing the Severing Mountain swordsmanship with a club in hand towards John Myung-hoon. Accelerate. Boom. A shockwave is created in front of my body. Enjoying the feeling of every flow of air striking my body and being unilaterally repelled, I lock eyes with John Myung-hoon in this extreme, standstill world. For a moment, I see myself reflected in his pupils. With an untrimmed beard and disheveled hair, with eyes full of bloodshot veins, I look like a complete madman. No wonder all those who pledged their allegiance to me disappeared. I chuckle to myself for a moment with that thought. But there's no helping it. There's no time to groom myself. No time to kindly respond to those who speak to me. No time for greetings. No time to smile. No time to spare for others. I crazily oversee John Myung-hoon's training while also relentlessly repeating my own. But still, time is insufficient. Living all day with accelerated consciousness, the blood soul I divided to Yuan Yu is tasked with cultivating, recovering spiritual power, and recuperating the nascent soul all day long. And so, continuously transferring the burden to Yuan Yu, I endlessly pondered and pondered again about martial arts. Pondering martial arts, I repeated the process of pushing the vitality of my body to its limits, endlessly bringing the Earth Tribe's cultivation close to the Heavenly Being stage. Similarly, for the Heaven Tribe's cultivation to ascend to the Heavenly Being stage, I continuously analyzed and reflected on the enlightenment and teachings of the Heavenly Being stage I heard from Jin Wei and Hong Surayong in a part of my mind for understanding before breakthrough. Though I say I practice martial arts have become part of me. Recently, since sitting down to cultivate spiritual power and practicing martial arts to cultivate spiritual power had no difference in speed, I did not insist on meditating, allowing the Heaven Tribe's cultivation to proceed without difficulty. Practicing the cultivation of the Heaven and Earth Tribes, and concurrently training in martial arts, I constantly yearned for the next stage. Woom. Before I knew it, the club in my hand became the sword itself. Crackle. How many times have I unfolded the Severing Mountain swordsmanship that the club itself was weathered by the air pressure and transformed into the most appropriate form of a wooden sword for performing Severing Mountain swordsmanship? Then, what beyond treading heavens am I so desperately swinging my stick-turned wooden sword for? Beyond treading heavens, the third phase of manifestation is as follows. The realm where one imposes their ideals upon the world. But what exactly does that mean? What does it mean to impose one's ideals on the world? Essentially, it boils down to this. What is perfection? I recall the teachings of Jang Ik. The term perfect or complete does not exist in this world. Do you know why? Why is that? Try executing a perfect slash, a perfect thrust. I performed as Jang instructed in front of him. Is the technique you performed perfect? Yes, it is. Right, it is. But at the same time, it's not. Would you use the exact same technique in a blizzard-swept battlefield? No, I wouldn't. Conversely, inside a volcano seething with lava, would you use the same technique as in a blizzard-swept battlefield? Absolutely not. Then, let's say both of your arms were cut off and couldn't regenerate. If you were to perform the same technique by holding the sword in your mouth, would it be the same as before? That would be impossible. Right, it's impossible. Therefore, there is no such thing as perfection in this world. As I swing my severing mountain swordsmanship, I pondered Jang's words. Your swordsmanship was created under the same principle, and you swing your sword under that principle. But the principle changes depending on the target and the location where you swing your sword. In other words, from the moment you learned that swordsmanship to now, you have never swung the same swordsmanship twice. Woong woong woong. The tip of the wooden sword seems to carry Jang's advice with it. The space 1 second before and 1 second after changes entirely with the subtle flow of air. Not just the air, but the flow of energy, the opponent's mental state, and your own, all change from 1 second to the next. Therefore, the swordsmanship you unfold 1 second before and 1 second after are different. Then, what should I do? How can the same martial arts be executed? If you've reached this stage, you must know that your fighting spirit isn't just a simple combat technique. Your fighting spirit embodies your life and everything you've asserted for. Wong, wong, wong. I perform the severing mountain swordsmanship. Whoosh. An explosion rings out, and my sword, containing merely the level of chi refining energy, shakes off John Myung-hoon's core formation level lightning and even rebounds a shockwave back at him. Polish your assertion to the utmost within your fighting spirit. I polish the assertion of destruction. You all polish the assertion of rest. What is your assertion? My assertion. The external expression of your fighting spirit can change endlessly and continuously adopt different identities. But the heart does not change. Or rather, imbue your fighting spirit with an unchanging heart. Thus, no matter how the outward appearance changes, no matter how your sword changes, that immutable heart will remain and become engraved as a law upon this world. That's right. Simply put, it's about awakening the unique traits of one's martial art, creating a standard that does not change regardless of the situation. If that standard is truly made to be absolutely unchangeable, then it becomes engraved as a law in this world. Heavenly tribulation is executed by the heavens to enforce the law of conforming to the heavens upon cultivators who defy the heavens. Then perhaps, the power similar to heavenly tribulation wielded by those in the third phase of manifestation, belonging to the heart tribe, might be akin to executing their own laws, somewhat resembling the heavens. Whoosh! Once again, this time only infusing enough energy into the wooden sword for a single use of sword energy, I spin around and deflect John Myung-hoon, who had transformed like a thunder god, with ease. But it doesn't end with just repelling him. Even as John Myung-hoon is repelled, he appears unbearably slow to me, who is accelerating my consciousness close to a standstill. Rolling my feet forward and arriving at the spot where John Myung-hoon is about to land, I strike down with my wooden sword once more towards John Myung-hoon, who is now slowly bouncing towards me. John Myung-hoon seems to react slowly but fails to properly block, resulting in his head being split in half by the wooden sword. The heart I infuse into my martial arts. What I want to assert. Quang, quang, quang. With just enough energy to maintain a single sword gang, my wooden sword swings, sending shockwaves that reach not only John Myung-hoon, but also starts demolishing nearby mountains. John Myung-hoon, turned into a bloody mess, stands up after a while and rushes at me with his eyes full of bloodshot rage. And the same situation continues to repeat. John Myung-hoon is evolving and making progress, albeit as little as an ant's footsteps, but it is still slow from my perspective. Seo Eun-hyun. John Myung-hoon, with bloodshot eyes, rushes at me with the intent to kill. And as the training ends, he goes back to his cave residence with Jin So-hae. Riding on Jin So-hae's back to his cave residence, I briefly stare blankly at John Myung-hoon as he vents his complaints and curses about me to Jin So-hae. Returning to my cave residence after John Myung-hoon's training, I see the disciples of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect sneakily avoiding me and chattering among themselves. I see the sounds of greetings and the elders and grand elders occasionally greeting me as they pass by. I hear the sounds of greetings and see the elders and grand elders passing by occasionally greeting me. Before entering my cave residence, I look down at the scenic beauty of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect one more time. This place is the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, a failed creation by Yang Soo-jin and a congregation of non-humans. No, looking down at the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, I suddenly realize why I have been out of my mind lately. Far away, I see Hong Su-ryong kidnapping fresh new disciples. Seeing that, I laugh. I'm an idiot. It's an old realization, once again. To the disciples, to Hong Su-ryong, to Yun Jin, to Jin Wei, to Jin Byako, to Jin Sohei, to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect itself. I try to distance myself because it's a sect doomed for destruction. I made a foolish vow not to give my affection to Hong Su-ryong. But look, already, am I not feeling as if this scenery of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is like my home? This place is the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. My sect, my family are here. Do you hear me, Yang Sujin? I speak, looking up at the sky. I'm a dullard, an idiot, a cripple, and I don't understand much about non-humans or whatever. Fate, freedom, slavery. Honestly, I've never lived my life thinking about such things every time I meet someone. So, of course, I still can't completely refute Yang Sujin's logic. But, even if I can't refute it, I can deny it. I am not a saint. I am selfish. I am greedy and not capable enough to solve every problem. Nor do I have the magnanimity of a sage. However, for my family, with whom I have ties, I will protect them. I won't let them perish. The name of the heart that dwells in my martial art is sincerity/entire heart. I haven't lived my life like a saint or a sage. In a world too full of non-humans for it to be possible, perhaps I've become much crueler than when I was on Earth. But there is one thing I can be certain of. I've always put my entire heart into every situation. In every connection, in every moment, I've always put my whole heart into it. So now, my family, with whom I have connections, will not die. Heavens, looking up at the sky, I swear. This time too, I will change it. And so, time flows on and 20 years pass. John Myung-hoon finally approaches the nascent soul stage. Chapter 250, Heavenly Tribulation 2. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Wawum. A pillar of red light stabs down towards me. I lightly step with footwork and strike the pillar of light with my wooden sword. Quagwagwang. A terrifying shockwave bursts forth, and for an instant, it seems as though the lightning itself is pushed back by the aftermath. An attack clearly of the nascent soul stage. However, what's astonishing is that the one unleashing this strike is not at the nascent soul stage, but at the grand perfection of core formation. Quorum. 7-colored lightning spews out around John Myung-hoon, transforming into 6 flags. Kagugugu. A giant holding the 6 flags appears, extending its fist towards me. But in an instant, I catch a gap in the colossus that seems to shatter heaven and earth. Even as heaven and earth crumbles, I see a place where I can stand. Pong. I enter the still world and take a step. Quagwagwang. The giant's thunderous whip smashes into the earth. First step. I leap towards the shattered stone fragments, regaining my stance atop one of the fragments. The giant's head splits in two, and behind him, a gigantic Taiji symbol emerges. Third step. I leap straight towards the giant's head, entering the split in its head and dance while stepping on the air. There's no need to use unnecessary power. Only the required strength, compressed to the extreme at the optimal moment, is released with the highest speed. Severing Mountain Swordsmanship. 27th move. Guiding to the Summit/Doubtson. Over the years, a new branch of Severing Mountain Swordsmanship has blossomed with madness within a stopped world. Payet. The sword energy condenses at the tip of the sword like a thread. What happens when chi is compressed? A pure mass of chi eventually turns into life force. The stage before becoming life force is Sword Gang, and the stage of splitting consciousness into that Sword Gang, making it almost a living entity, is the Sword Sphere. So, what happens if you don't infuse consciousness into the Sword Gang, but compress it even more? Kadudaduk. The essence of pure life forms on the sword. The essence of life created in such a way cannot attack the opponent, because this life force, if anything, will heal rather than harm the opponent. But on the other hand, not being able to harm the opponent means the opponent won't feel pain, which means it's difficult for the opponent to notice. Shook. The thread of chi created by guiding to the summit enters the neck of the lightning giant. I fly up from above the guy's neck, reaching out my hand. TSDSSDSSDSSD. At the same time, a thread line begins to shine above the lightning giant's 2 heads. The chi thread attached to the creature absorbs its life force, shining brightly before exploding in an instant. Quagwagwang. John Myung-hoon's neck flies off. A technique that sneaks compressed sword energy disguised as life force into the opponent without them noticing, absorbing the opponent's life force over time, eventually leading to death. That is guiding to the summit. Oh! The giant without a neck begins to scream and throw a tantrum. Based on red lightning, countless colors of lightning start to appear. Before long, all the techniques of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect begin to float around him. That is it. He can now use all the techniques of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. But amusingly, John Myung-hoon has mastered only one technique of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, the Red Lightning Quaking Scripture. In other words, all the techniques of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect that John Myung-hoon shows are parts of a new technique he had created by evolving the Red Lightning Quaking Scripture. That must be the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation method Yang Sujin mentioned. It seems that, unlike the complex process of something like the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation method can be learned through a straightforward process if an ender who carries their own fate begins to learn the Red Lightning Quaking Scripture, which is the basic method of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Thousands of methods begin to float around John Myung-hoon. Countless rune characters, arrows of lightning, spears of thunder, and heads of lightning dragons appear, gathering energy. Then, thousands of techniques are fired at me at once. There seems to be no way to dodge, but I have no intention of drawing more energy than the sword energy wrapped around my wooden sword. Then how should I counter these techniques? I calm my mind. Like a clear water surface, my mind settles down smoothly. At the same time, I succeed in feeling a certain sensation. Lately, I began to feel a certain sensation. It is an intent. It isn't the vision of the Heaven tribe, nor the spiritual energy of the Earth tribe. A completely different, fourth type of sensation. Calm the mind, clear it like water, and reflect the opponent in that state. Over the clear reflected surface, thousands of techniques sent by John Myung-hoon are reflected. I see it. The intent contained within those techniques. No, the mind embedded within the techniques is felt. Is this the sensation of the Heart tribe's third stage of manifestation? It seems not just that. Somehow, it's subtly, really minutely different from that of the Heart tribe, in a way that can't be explained. Anyway, I focus on this newly emerged sensation. Seeing the intent behind the techniques sent by John Myung-hoon, I somehow feel I can unravel these intents in reverse and break down the technique itself. Boong, boong, boong. Without using the formless sword, I place my sword at the weakest point of the techniques and unravel all of the formulas used by John Myung-hoon in reverse, piercing through his endless barrage of attacks. The next moment, swirl, I dive into John Myung-hoon's chest, who had turned into a giant, and use guiding to the summit once again. Chalk. After a moment, the giant titan falls, and John Myung-hoon emerges from inside. I never won once before reaching the nascent soul stage. That's quite an achievement. What a monster. To think you reversed and unraveled the flow of all those techniques' spiritual power. I smirk at John Myung-hoon, who is staring at me with a stiff face. I could do it because I've also learned all the lightning path methods. It would have been impossible with techniques of other attributes. Quite literally, the secret to my ability to counter John Myung-hoon's lightning path methods is also because I have a tremendous understanding of the lightning path methods themselves. Of course, it's a secret to him, but this sensation might blossom further in the future, allowing me to unravel other things besides lightning path methods. But it will require at least 1,000 years of cultivation to get there. John Myung-hoon dusts off the dirt from his body and grins. When you reach the nascent soul stage, you better be prepared, Seo Eun-hyun. Haha, I'm looking forward to it. I warmly smile and cheer for John Myung-hoon. Then, everything is prepared at the main hall. Let's go. Humph. John Myung-hoon looks at me and, seemingly annoyed, sets off first towards Thundercloud Peak. At Thundercloud Peak, countless heavenly being stage grand elders and nascent soul stage elders have gathered to witness the breakthrough to the nascent soul stage of the heavenly golden thunder body. Hong Su-ryong is setting up a formation at the summit of Thundercloud Peak in preparation for any mishaps. Have you arrived? Come and stand here, John Myung-hoon. Hong Su-ryong engraves a rune character into the formation and then calls John Myung-hoon to the center of the formation. Over the past 20 years, Hong Su-ryong also broke through in her realm and is now a qualified grand perfection cultivator of the heavenly being stage. Now, she is preparing to ascend to the 4-axis stage alongside the highest grand elders like Jin Y and Jin Chan. The energies of the well, ghost, and willow stars are about to rise. Prepare to rise to the nascent soul stage. Hong Su-ryong looks at the celestial energy, reads the celestial signs, and speaks. Since the stars that best match John Myung-hoon are the well, ghost, and willow stars, it is most appropriate for him to ascend to the nascent soul stage at that time. Before entering the formation, he looks around and his eyes meet with someone. It's Jin So-hye. Crack. In an instant, turning into a bolt of lightning, John Myung-hoon flies towards Jin So-hye and embraces her. Thank you for being with me, even when I was lacking, So-hye. From now on, I'll show you a more proper version of myself. No, you've been great enough as it is. You've had a tough time too. The elders laugh heartily at the sight of the two young people, and Jin Byuk-ho, too, looks at John Myung-hoon with much more relaxed eyes than before. Looking at John Myung-hoon, I can tell that he has indeed become one with his family and the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Crackle. Returning to the center of the formation, John Myung-hoon looks up at the sky. Soon, the celestial timing aligns. Wawoom. John Myung-hoon sits down in a lotus position right there, gathering energy for his golden core. Crackle. He begins to gather energy from the chi plane, ascending towards an even higher plane. Consciousness and energy mixes, and he begins to condense his nascent soul. There's no issue with enlightenment. Not only had the grand elders and elders of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect kindly explained it, but I had also hammered the yin and yang energies into him dozens of times using the methods of the Azure Heaven Creation sect. He had no choice but to grasp an understanding of the nascent soul, even if reluctantly. Wawoom. Suddenly, the heaven and earth spiritual energy seems to gather towards John Myung-hoon, and a bright light bursts from his lower dantian. A phenomenon that occurs when a cultivator of the heaven tribe condenses their nascent soul. Simultaneously, the heavens begin to roar, preparing for the heavenly tribulation. Wawoom. I look at John Myung-hoon. I can see a baby-shaped soul condensing in his lower abdomen. This means, at this moment, John Myung-hoon is rapidly experiencing his life in rewind. An indescribable expression settles on his face. And then, pot. Finally, John Myung-hoon succeeds in fully condensing his nascent soul. The only remaining hurdle now is the heavenly tribulation. However, no one from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect thinks that John Myung-hoon will encounter difficulties while undergoing the heavenly tribulation. After all, he is the heavenly golden thunder body. Quorum. A dual-colored heavenly tribulation strikes down. But the dual-colored heavenly tribulation is absorbed by John Myung-hoon as soon as it touches him. Simultaneously, John Myung-hoon's cultivation in the early nascent soul stage begins to rapidly increase. The spiritual power equivalent to 10 years of cultivation at the early nascent soul stage accumulates in John Myung-hoon's nascent soul. Crackle. He opens his eyes, smiling contently as he sits, seemingly unbothered by the monstrous heavenly tribulation he had just faced. Instead of showing any signs of distress or pain, he looks as refreshed as if he had just received a pleasant massage. Kurung. The heavenly tribulation continues to strike down, enhancing John Myung-hoon's power. For John Myung-hoon, the heavenly tribulation is both a tonic and a dharma treasure. He can either accept it and transform it into spiritual power or store it within his golden core and wield it like a real dharma treasure. That is what the heavenly tribulation means to John Myung-hoon. Before he broke through to the nascent soul stage, I had advised him to not transform the heavenly tribulation into a dharma treasure, but to absorb it directly and convert it into spiritual power. He is faithfully following my advice. At this rate, he might reach the mid-nascent soul stage within half a year if he does well. Just having entered the early nascent soul stage and continuously feasting on such a tremendous elixir, reaching the mid-stage in half a year is not an inflated expectation. Moreover, from the nascent soul stage onwards, each advancement within the realm attracts heavenly tribulation. Hence, John Myung-hoon can gain such benefits even in the mid-nascent soul stage. In other words, from the moment he entered the nascent soul stage, John Myung-hoon has laid the foundation for extremely rapid cultivation. It took decades to reach the nascent soul stage, but from now on, the path will be smooth. I grin as I look at John Myung-hoon. His growth is going smoothly. That means I don't need to implement the worst-case scenario plan I have in mind, stealing the Heavenly Lightning Banner. Don't betray the sect and use John Myung-hoon to seal the Heavenly Lightning Banner. Yes, that's the most suitable. That was my thought. Until John Myung-hoon absorbed the golden heavenly tribulation of the nascent soul stage and converted it into red lightning. ZZZT. Until I felt something strange with the recently emerged fourth sensation. What's going on? Something's off with John Myung-hoon. I furrow my brows and focus on that sensation. It isn't clear. It's a misty feeling. But I definitely feel something is connected to John Myung-hoon. Yes, this is, indeed, some intent is attached to John Myung-hoon, extending like a thread somewhere. However, the sensation is brief and it vanishes again. What in the world? It's a sensation I felt momentarily when John Myung-hoon was absorbing the heavenly tribulation of the nascent soul stage while using what seems to be the red lightning, heavenly tribulation method. Slowly, I turned my head towards the direction where the intent was connected. The sensation disappeared, but I remember where it pointed. That place is, could it be, the Thunder Tribute Hall? There's no ominous feeling, and the celestial energy is clear. But, with my tension heightened to the maximum, I seize the moment everyone is blessing John Myung-hoon and fly towards the Thunder Tribute Hall. The main gate of the Thunder Tribute Hall is currently unguarded. Everyone had gone to witness the nascent soul stage ascension of John Myung-hoon, born with the same talent of the ancestor Yang Sujin, the heavenly golden thunder body. Thanks to that, I easily enter the Thunder Tribute Hall, and I'm startled, stopping in my tracks as I'm about to enter deeper into the hall. What brings you here, child? Deep within Thunder Tribute Hall, above its altar, a woman with long white hair and bare feet, her face hidden by her hair, asks me. As soon as I hear her words, I suddenly feel lust boiling up within me. I want to rush at her, to overpower her. I want to make her mine. I want to hold her. Grinding my teeth, I stand still and clear my mind with the wonderfully mysterious innate heart cannon. I glare at Zhengli, veins popping in my eyes. Please stop teasing Miss Junior, Senior. Wawoon. Extinguishing divine, tribulating heavens. A transparent energy whirls within me. At the same time, Zhengli's seductive smile seems to vanish from my mind for a moment. However, Zhengli stretches her arms towards me. Ah, so you've used the sacrificial rite that the golden deity once employed. Aha! How dare you boast in front of me without even preparing a sacrificial offering? How do you plan to bear the curse of that dreadful rite with a human body? Zing. Kook. That incomplete immortal art, without an offering, is at best a unique lightning path method. Those who have traversed the Tao of heavenly tribulation of the 3,000 worlds and learned lightning path methods can never escape from me. My face turns beet red. Just when I thought the surging lust subsided, it boils up crazily again. The heavenly lightning banner isn't supposed to be like this. It's obvious. Some trickery had been played, letting it break free from its restraints until now. Normally, even if I occasionally hear the voice of the heavenly lightning banner, it's no different from hearing any ordinary human voice. But now it's different. Every word she utters seems to seize my brain, making the blood in my lower abdomen boil. My brain, it's strange. The currents in my brain are moving weirdly. I can't control it at all. At this rate, I feel like I will rush at Zhengli without any resistance and overpower her immediately. Come to me. Embrace me. Kiss my feet. I shall grant you the utmost pleasure. Just promise me one thing, child. KKRRGH. Veins bulge out on my face. Blood bursts from my nose, dripping onto the floor of the Thunder Tribute Hall. Can you call my name? Huh. Against my will, my feet move on their own towards her. Memories from my past life flashes through my mind. The scene where innocent people turn to the master of heavenly punishment at just a word. The scene where a single word caused countless innocent people to return to the owner of heavenly punishment en masse. The golden divine heavenly thunder sect, slaughtered because of my foolish actions. Come here, child. Thump, 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 thump. I can't control my lust. The sound of my heart beating wildly grows louder. The closer I get to her, the more tantalizing her jade white feet seem. Each step closer fills my brain with immense anticipation and happiness. Thump. Before reaching her, with about 5 steps left, I barely manage to control my legs and stop myself. But it's only a temporary reprieve. I soon have the premonition that I will rush towards her. Let's stop this. Will you call my name? I don't think that will be possible. Oh, it seems you're lacking in pleasure. She points at me. My top is already off without me realizing it. She points her finger at me again. It feels as if her slender, graceful hands are caressing me, even though she is merely stroking the air. Yet, I find myself completely naked. What? It isn't her who undressed me. My body undressed itself. In a situation where I can't cover my whole body, my face turns blazing red as I clench my teeth. Now, if you're ready, come here. Stop. My body doesn't listen to me. I feel like I will rush at her any moment. Any moment now. In my mind, I recall Heavenly Human Island, which had been reduced to ruins by the owner of heavenly punishment. I think of Kim Yun, Bu Qianghua, the colorless glass sword, and Hong Surayong. Stop. I said. Thump. My leg takes another step forward against my will. And then, I move my hand. In that state, holding my scrotum. Crunch. Crick-crack. Ah. I start to tear out my testicles. Ah. Squish. Oh. Ah. Saliva dribbles from my mouth. It hurts. Among all the pains I've felt in my life, this is one of the most severe, causing my head to ring. But, in that pain, I finally feel my lust being washed away, and my limbs regain their freedom. The pain is so intense that tears of blood naturally flow. Dripping tears of blood, I crush the testicles I had pulled out in my fist. I told you to stop. Step. This time, I step forward towards her of my own will. Having cast a clothing spell to dress myself again, I manage to suppress the pain and look down at Jingli. There are people who have loved me. Do not insult me. Overwhelmed by my momentum after breaking free from her control, Zhengli speaks with a trembling voice for the first time. You're insane. Step. I take another step forward. She begins to stealthily move back on the altar, trying to distance herself as much as possible from me. She is completely overwhelmed by my aura. How can a mortal from the Sa world so readily sever one of the 5 desires? Who are you? I have never seen a being like you among mortals. I am. Crack. I grab Zhongli's neck and lift her up. Zhongli struggles in my grasp for a moment, then suddenly transforms into a familiar banner. Xiao Unhyun. I ask the banner with a fierce look. Answer me. What have you been plotting all this time? Chapter 251, Heavenly Tribulation 3. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0 Rel. Speak. Crackle, crackling. Is it due to the pain that my emotions became agitated? TSSDSSDSSD. One by one, around me, black curses begin to flow out. Speak. Su. Eventually, the curses begin to overflow around me like a river. Speak. Kagugugu. A waterfall of curse spells is drawn out around me. Then, the full load of the curse spells is blown towards Zhongli. Since an immortal treasure's mental structure is different from humans, the pain isn't as clearly inflicted as it would be on humans. If a curse inflicts 100 units of pain on a typical life form, it would only inflict about 0.01 units of pain on an immortal treasure. Hence, using about 10,000 curse spells should be sufficient to transfer pain to an immortal treasure. Quagwagwa. Countless curse spells pour in like a waterfall to within the heavenly lightning banner. I can feel the heavenly lightning banner suffering. Speak. What were you trying to do? After struggling with the pain for a while, Zhongli finally opens her mouth. Curious? From inside the heavenly lightning banner, I feel a gaze staring at me somewhere. Along with it, I see again something like a thread of Zhongli's intent extending far away. What are you doing? Swoosh. Rain made of curses fall over the entire Thunder Tribute Hall. The black curses begin to rot and corrode the floor of the hall. Madman. I was momentarily startled, but you are foolish. If you had embraced me and felt pleasure calling my name, you could have returned to the owner in peace. Simultaneously, something flies from where her intent is connected. Quorum. From outside the Thunder Tribute Hall, an enormous energy begins to surge. Zirit, zirit. Static electricity flows through the air. John Myong-hoon. Has he reached the nascent soul stage? But something is off. The flow of energy around is too violently turbulent, more than it would be from just him attaining a nascent soul. Something happened. I glare at the heavenly lightning banner. The curse spells used at the level of mortals are annoying, but by raising my consciousness to the plane of fate and changing my mental structure, there's no pain. Your torture is useless. You. And, before long, Zhongli transforms back into a human form. Suddenly, the staff of the heavenly lightning banner I am holding becomes Zhongli's ankle. She holds something transparent that arrived from the direction where John Myong-hoon is. Finally, we have come this far. Zoom. She strikes down towards the void with the transparent something. At that moment, I see an intent with my 4th sense. The intent, tangled like chains, is connected to various parts of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. As she strikes down with the transparent thing, the chains are severed just like that. Pang. SSSSHHHH. Simultaneously, an indescribably bizarre energy begins to emanate from her, incomparable to before. Ahaha, now only a single layer remains. The last chain cannot be unlocked unless one is of the level of Yang Sujin's true body. But still, it may be possible for but a speck of my authority to be accessible once more. Tack. With a sinister smile, she flicks her finger. Your effort is admirable, but, my child, you can't stop me. It's already too late. Along with that, seeing, a strange power of lightning bursts forth around her. Kugugugugu. What is this? The power continues to expand its range, soon covering the entire golden divine heavenly thunder sect, and then spreading widely enough to cover the entire Thunder Spirit Island. At the same time, crackling. The currents in my brain move oddly, and all sorts of emotions begin to swell. While removing my testicles, I also cut out and removed a part of my soul that governs lust. Of course, having reached the nascent soul stage, my soul contains considerable energy, and it will regenerate over time. Because of that, I was able to escape from Zhongli's influence, but despite that, it's still difficult to easily soothe the desire to hold the heavenly lightning banner from within. I look at her, my complexion turning pale. Damn it, even I, who had temporarily removed lust, feels desire boiling up. Then, what about others who do not possess mental strength like mine? Kugugugugu. As expected, Kwang. The door of Thunder Tribute Hall shatters, and Jean Byuk-ho and the other Grand Elders enter with somewhat excited faces. Jean Byuk-ho gasps for breath and says with a somewhat flushed face, "What are you doing now, Elder Jean Eunhyun? Coming to the Thunder Tribute Hall and holding the Heavenly Lightning Banner? To touch the Heavenly Lightning Banner, one must at least be the sect leader." I'm sorry. There was something I needed to find out by looking at the Heavenly Lightning Banner. Oh, is that so? Well, I understand for now. I also have something to try with the Heavenly Lightning Banner, so let me hold it for a moment. Jin Byuk-ho extends his hand towards me. Duh. Elder Jin Unhyun. I speak with an awkward smile. I'm sorry, Supreme Sect Master. Could you give me a little more time? What are you saying, Elder Jin Unhyun? The Heavenly Lightning Banner is a divine object that originally can only be touched by those who hold the position of sect leader. You, still a potential next sect leader, should not touch it. Hand it over to me now. Jin Byuk-ho suddenly bursts into anger, his eyes bloodshot as he yells at me. Normally, even if I have the Heavenly Lightning Banner, he would never have shouted at me like this. He knows I'm the perfect genius, even more outstanding than the Heavenly Golden Thunder Body, and considers me the future of the sect. Even if I had touched the Heavenly Lightning Banner, he would have admonished me politely, not yell with such rage. I smile bitterly at Jin Byuk-ho. You're enchanted by this bewitching object. What are you saying? If you talk nonsense and disobey one more time, I'll lock you in the Punishment Lightning Cave for 10 years of wall facing. For the last time, hand over the Heavenly Lightning Banner. Crackle, crackling. The electrical signals in my brain tangle, stimulating the desire to possess the Heavenly Lightning Banner even more. I want to embrace the Heavenly Lightning Banner. I want to touch it. I want to lick it, handle it, and try striking lightning with it. I want to wield the power of the Heavenly Lightning Banner. Surely, Jin Byuk-ho and the Grand Elders who have just arrived feel the same. However, I read the intent of the Heavenly Lightning Banner, and its intent. After enchanting the people of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, she intends to teach them her name. I suppress my desire and grip the Heavenly Lightning Banner even tighter. She quietly returns to the form of a flag in my grasp, as if to see how I will withstand it. Jin Y shouts, Jin Unhyun, the elders of the sect are commanding you. Hand over the Heavenly Lightning Banner to us right away. Hold on, what is this black, darkish energy? Jin Jinshan frowns as he looks at my cursed spells. It seems like something I saw in the Black Ghost Valley before. Jin Unhyun, you, what have you learned? Jin Unhyun, hand over the Heavenly Lightning Banner first. The Grand Elders shout at me chaotically, and I bow once to them on the spot. I'm sorry, what is this? From now on, while bowing to them, I slowly raise my cursed spells. Whenever true immortals are involved, things get this complicated. It seems I, this foolish and unworthy disciple, must betray the sect. Quaibugwagwa. A storm of cursed spells erupt from me towards the Grand Elders. Such cursed spells. What do you think they can do to us who have risen to the heavenly being stage? Aya, Kukia. Most of the Grand Elders trying to withstand my curses with their bare bodies end up foaming at the mouth, rolling their eyes back, and fainting on the spot. The pain inflicted by my curses are less than 1,000th of the pain from ingesting the poison that amplifies senses 60,000 times. But that alone is enough to make the heavenly being stage Grand Elders faint, and even Jin Byuk-ho collapses to the floor, unable to regain his senses momentarily. How cruel, Unhyun. Do you intend to betray your sect? I hear the Heavenly Lightning Banner mocking me. All who cultivate the Lightning Path method cannot escape my enchantment. Do you intend to fight against the entire Thunder Spirit Island? Whoa. Do you truly have the will to do that, Unhyun? Let me go? Pass me on to another. She whispers to me in a soft, subtle voice, calling my name. I desire to heed her request immediately, but I speak in a stern voice. Shut up. Step, step. Passing by the fainted Grand Elders. This time, the elders with half-rolled eyes surround me. Elder Jin Unhyun, what is this? What have you done to the Grand Elders? No, more importantly, give us the Heavenly Lightning Banner now. It's a divine object you shouldn't be holding. Never mind the Heavenly Lightning Banner for now. What about these dark curse spells? It's a technique from the Black Ghost Valley. I've seen it before. The elders look at me with eyes filled with horror. You ultimately choose to betray our sect and side with the Black Ghost Valley. What wickedness! Seize the Heavenly Lightning Banner from that traitor. Defend the sect's divine object with your life. Is it because Zhongli's enchantment had disrupted their logical thinking circuits? Without even considering listening to me, they charge at me with crazed eyes. I smile bitterly and raise one hand. Kugagugagu. Perhaps because I had removed my testicles and a part of my soul. The pain is still vivid, and I generate curse spells based on that pain. In an instant, countless curses pour out, enough to rot the Thunder Tribute Hall, and the fog of curses cover the summit of Thundercloud Peak. Wawaza. Kwa. Kwa. It hurts. It hurts so much. Most of the elders can't bear my pain and faint as well. There are no external injuries, and most of them will wake up fine after some sleep. I glare at Zhongli and spit gravely. I will. Make sure you pay the price. Aha. How terrifying. Truthfully, you're scared, aren't you? Remember this well. The sin of forcing me to betray my sect with my own hands will not be easily forgiven. I give Zhongli, who tries to avoid my madness-filled gaze, one last look and descend from Thundercloud Peak. At the same time, I feel the sound of a massive whirlwind from afar. Kugagugagoo. Huh. A giant red lightning bolt soars from the ground to the sky, creating a pillar of light. Quajajajizik. A tingling sensation of lightning energy touches me. That seems a bit dangerous. I chuckle at the monstrous lightning energy I feel. With my help, he has successfully obtained the red lightning heavenly tribulation. What? I'm taken aback and glare at Jingli. However, she ignores my gaze and speaks to John Myung-hoon, who is emitting a pillar of red lightning. Come here, Myung-hoon. Since you've obtained the heavenly lightning thanks to my assistance, help me. She begins to sing. There's a wicked traitor who betrayed his sect, having hidden his true intentions for decades within the sect, attacking the Grand Elders and the Supreme Sect Master, trying to steal the sect's divine object. Come quickly and exterminate that wicked traitor, restoring the justice of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. You. Roar. Her voice reaches John Myung-hoon. Though I try to block it, her voice is directed at John Myung-hoon in some metaphysical way, making it impossible for me to intercept. I have no choice but to quickly take out 2 sound transmission talismans. The talismans are connected to Yun Jin and Hong Su Ryong respectively. Hong Su Ryong Yunwei, please keep your promise. Today is the day I spoke of. Soon, I receive a somewhat surprised but affirmative response from Hong Su Ryong. Yun Jin also sends an affirmative response. Right after their replies, Kururum, a red lightning bolt rushes towards me. Quong. I'm unable to dodge the attack from John Myung-hoon within the red lightning and get hit, flying off to one side of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's peak. Quong. One of the peaks explodes. I get up from beneath the collapsed peak, glaring at John Myung-hoon, who struck me. You've grown quite a bit. Seo Eun-hyun. From within, John Myung-hoon, who had completely transformed into a lightning giant, asks bitterly, what are you doing right now? I can't explain to you. Explain it. Just trust me for a moment. Stay away from me for a bit. If you get close to the heavenly lightning banner. Quorum. Instantly, lightning flashes. The next moment, John Myung-hoon's attack is flying towards my head. Pong. I draw my wooden sword and deflect John Myung-hoon's strike. Just listen to me for a moment. Quong, quong, quorum. Just a moment. Quorum. Just a second. Flash. Quong. Countless flashes of lightning strike as John Myung-hoon attacks me. I realize his condition is also quite strange. What have you done to John Myung-hoon? It's odd. If the technique John Myung-hoon learned is truly the red lightning heavenly tribulation, then it should be Yang Sujin's technique. Yet, even after mastering Yang Sujin's technique, John Myung-hoon seems to be completely enchanted by Zhongli without any resistance. Is there no basic resistance function in the red lightning heavenly tribulation, unlike in the extinguishing divine tribulating heavens? Curious, Eun-hyun. As I wonder, Zhongli begins to whisper in a bewitching voice next to me. I guided him and taught him the original technique mastered by the golden deity, Yang Sujin, called the red lightning heavenly tribulation technique. And Yang Sujin's original technique was directly taught to that traitor by my lord in his younger days. Exclamation point. As the servant of my owner, I'm merely guiding disciple John Myung-hoon, so don't worry too much about your colleague. There won't be any problem. Instead, worry about yourself, Eun-hyun. Zhongli mockingly says to me. Before I knew it, I'd already exchanged countless blows with John Myung-hoon and rose above the clouds in the sky. This won't be easy. I send a signal to something I have kept hidden. The red lightning heavenly tribulation is the pinnacle of the lightning path method, directly created by the owner of heavenly tribulation. Woohoo! Even John Myung-hoon, who has just entered the early nascent soul stage, possesses enough power to end a grand perfection heavenly being. The next moment, Kugagugagoo. Whoosh. From below the clouds, a dark figure soars up, blocking John Myung-hoon. Quack. The thing that catches the rampaging John Myung-hoon opens its mouth, shining with a fierce light. Go, General Seo. It's the true origin General Seo, the 4-axis stage puppet I had continuously crafted and hidden within the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect for decades. Chapter 252, Heavenly Tribulation 4. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0rel. Flash. Quagwagwagwang. A flash of light bursts from General Seo's mouth, and John Myung-hoon's head is blown off by General Seo's cannon. However, John Myung-hoon instantly regenerates his head and charges back towards General Seo like a madman. Seo Eun-hyun. Kururum. John Myung-hoon rushes at me with completely crazed eyes. It's clear. He is being manipulated by Zhongli. More than half of the emotions he is exhibiting are being influenced by Zhongli. But that means the other half is also sincere. John Myung-hoon is genuinely angry with me to some extent. I'm sorry. I apologize to John Myung-hoon and to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, which had become like family, bowing my head along with my apology. I'm truly sorry. Quagwagwang. lightning flashes, and General Seo is repelled by John Myung-hoon. Due to his anger, John Myung-hoon is becoming endlessly stronger, and while initially he was only at a level enough to face a grand perfection heavenly being, he is gradually becoming as powerful as General Seo. No, that's not it. It isn't simply due to anger that he is becoming so powerful. John Myung-hoon is currently triggering his latent potential. Being at the nascent soul stage and having a lifespan of over 1,000 years, he is pushing himself to the limit to chase me down, even at the expense of a bit of his lifespan. Seo Eun-hyun. I look at him charging at me with crazed eyes and say, "Go ahead, be angry. Since things have come to this, it might be a good thing to make John Myung-hoon even angrier, to further steepen his growth curve. Be angry and even more angry, so that someday, I draw the wooden sword I had used to train John Myung-hoon and face him." Giant lightning claws appear over John Myung-hoon's hands, and upon contact, my whole body starts to tingle. Hwaya. Kwajik, Kwajajijik. John Myung-hoon's strength has become so formidable that it's on a completely different level from the strength I had faced before. Hold this, Yuanyu. Handing over the heavenly lightning banner to Yuanyu for a moment, I infuse power into my wooden sword. You dare to betray the golden divine heavenly thunder sect. With your strength, punish the traitor and reseal the heavenly lightning banner. If that happens, it's also something I wouldn't mind. Grow, John Myung-hoon. Use this anger as fuel to become even stronger and ascend to a higher level. Crack, creak. The wooden sword in contact with John Myung-hoon begins to crack. Creak. Eventually, heck on. John Myung-hoon finally succeeds in smashing the wooden sword I had used to beat him, and with overwhelming strength, he charges at me. Flash. The extent of his power has grown so vast in an instant that even I am taken aback and one of my arms is blown off by John Myung-hoon's body slam. John Myung-hoon doesn't stop there. He flies towards Yuanyu. Boom. He kicks Yuanyu, causing an explosion, and successfully seizes the heavenly lightning banner that Yuanyu was holding. Ugh. Ha. He gasps for breath. It appears that his sudden increase in power wasn't due to his simple growth, but rather a combination of his latent potential activating and extreme anger, momentarily exceeding the limits of power he can produce. Perhaps it was a moment of glimpsing into the next realm without realizing it. I look at John Myung-hoon and Zhengli, whom he has momentarily snatched from me. Zhengli seems quite flustered for some reason. Yet, even in her confusion, she does not stop manipulating John Myung-hoon. I can see her endlessly whispering to him, to call out her name. Endlessly. And then, John Myung-hoon opens his mouth. Z. Boom. In an instant, John Myung-hoon's head explodes. It's because I kicked his head in the blink of an eye. Chase after the power you just demonstrated. Then, someday, you'll be able to defeat me. Swoosh. I draw out one of the 3,000 colorless glass swords. Anyway, since you've broken my wooden sword today, I can no longer treat you as a mere novice. At the end of the 15th cycle, each of my colorless glass swords had been strengthened to the level of a high-quality iron sword by consuming elixirs. Since I skipped the 16th cycle entirely, I don't remember it, but the hardness of the colorless glass swords had become even stronger from being refined by elixirs during the 16th cycle. In the first 100 years, they were enhanced from the quality of a good iron sword to the level of a top-grade steel sword. In the next 100 years, they were enhanced from steel swords to the level of famous swords. And in the following 100 years, from famous swords to the level of treasure swords. The 3,000 colorless glass swords were enhanced to the extreme limit a mortal could achieve with a sword over 300 years. In the next 100 years, they were enhanced from treasure swords to the lowest grade of magic artifacts used by cultivators. In the last 100 years, they were enhanced from the lowest grade to a lower grade magic artifact. Furthermore, having been refined again by spirit pills during my time with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, the colorless glass swords had reached the level of mid to low grade magic artifacts at the current point in time. Previously, if I needed a strength of 10 to wield a sword, I had to use about 7 or 8 of that strength just to prevent the colorless glass swords from breaking. The previous colorless glass swords were, literally, as fragile as glass. But now, they have surpassed ordinary swords and reached the strength level of cultivators' magic artifacts. Now, when wielding a colorless glass sword, I only need to use about 3 or 4 of that strength to enhance the sword. Whoa! I swing the colorless glass sword. A single slash. And with that one cut, John Myung-hoon's torso is divided into upper and lower halves, and dozens of peaks of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect behind him are also cut in one fell swoop. In an instant, I enter the gap in time. Accelerating my consciousness and entering the seemingly frozen world, I wield the colorless glass sword. I stab, and stab again. And then, I pass right by John Myung-hoon, snatching back the heavenly lightning banner he was holding. The next moment, boom. John Myung-hoon's entire body begins to disintegrate into dust due to the slashes. Ugh ugh. He tries to muster strength to resist the onslaught of slashes affecting his body, but resistance is futile. The strike just now is different from the ones where I merely trained him with a wooden sword. I wielded my natal Dharma treasure, executing the sword technique with all my sincerity. Wapaya. Boom. Eventually, John Myung-hoon's physical body completely crumbles, leaving only his golden core intact. Unless he's a devilish cultivator that learned devilish arts, regenerating from just a golden core will take days. Take care, John Myung-hoon. I take out the 5 elements blood curse banner. A single red flag is held in my hand. PUK. I embed the flag right into his nascent soul, deep within his golden core. I've placed a restriction in your mind. Since I won't be able to monitor him in real time after leaving the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, this is a necessary measure. From now on, every time you attempt to say the name of the Heavenly Lightning Banner, the 5 elements blood curse banner will activate. Even to me, this seems like a somewhat cruel measure. But it's necessary. The day John Myung-hoon utters its name, everything will end. If you want to remove the restriction, become stronger and come find me. I'll be waiting. His golden core, with the 5 elements blood curse banner embedded in it, fall downwards. Going forward, the 5 elements blood curse banner will lie dormant within John Myung-hoon's consciousness, activating to inflict severe pain on him if he breaks the restriction I mentioned. I'm sorry. After apologizing to the falling John Myung-hoon, I retrieve the battered General Seo and fly off. General Seo, created in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, had been modified several times compared to the original, applying the techniques of the Azure Heaven Creation sect and those of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Therefore, beyond its most basic current form, there are 2 forms that can use the power of the Azure Heaven Creation sect and 3 forms that can also use the power of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. There is even a 4th form prepared, which can regenerate while using devilish arts through merging with Yuan Yu. However, seeing John Myung-hoon's condition, I decided to face him with my own strength. The Heavenly Lightning Banner seems flustered. I chuckle at the still visibly shaken Heavenly Lightning Banner. Is it because John Myung-hoon is starting to break free from your control? How could the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation, created by my owner? I don't know much about what happened between Yang Soo-jin and your owner, but certainly, at first, John Myung-hoon moved as controlled by Zhongli. However, at some point, his actions began to deviate from Zhongli's will. While he initially attacked due to being guided by Zhongli, he gradually started to attack me of his own will. That is all. What Zhongli first taught John Myung-hoon was the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation technique, created by the owner of Heavenly Punishment. Yet, John Myung-hoon, filled with rage to the brim, continued to evolve the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation method in a different direction while using it. From what I see, the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation method used by Yang Soo-jin doesn't seem to be learned from your owner. Both Yang Soo-jin and John Myung-hoon. It's almost certain the two, born under the same fate, initially learned their techniques from the owner of Heavenly Punishment. But they both evolved the Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation to make it their own. Perhaps that is the real Red Lightning Heavenly Tribulation method that Yang Soo-jin intended to pass down to his descendants. That's impossible. How could? Seeing her panic, I smirked bitterly. You seem very flustered. But it's not over yet. What? You will be sealed. I have prepared an ally for this. You will be sent back to the lower realms to be sealed again. At those words, Zhongli's consciousness shakes wildly. At the same time, she begins to plead with me. Unhyana, what are you saying? Are you saying you'll throw me into that dreadful place? Please reconsider. That place won't do. Please. Rather, throw me into the deepest part of the netherworld. Please, not there. I can't go there. I don't want to be in that ominous and dreadful world anymore. Please, please. That place is too terrifying. No, it's not good for you either. I sincerely advise you. It's a world that the vast majority of true immortals avoid. Why do you think true immortals don't seek it out? Since ancient times, there have been rumors in the true immortal realm that a horrific and hideous being resides there. It's not just a rumor. She seems terrified out of her mind. Even the renowned judge of the netherworld, who was powerful enough to threaten my owner, even my owner's closest friend, even the immortal general of the netherworld, who oversees the lifespan of mortals, even the being who was once to be consecrated as the king of immortal beasts, even the mastermind behind various incidents in various parts of the true immortal realm, all met a miserable end related to that world. Mortal, please do not make a foolish choice. Although hateful as he is, even the fearsome golden deity Yang Soo-jin disappeared after sealing me in that world. I beg you, please, please do not leave me in that terrifying place. I glance at the Heavenly Lightning Banner. I'm sorry it's come to this. No matter how much she tries to change my mind, it's useless. I have already decided to seal the heavenly lightning banner there. Her begging like this only proves that sealing Zhongli there will ensure that the owner of heavenly punishment will never come looking for her. I have people I must protect as well. The vivid image of the day when Thunder Spirit Island and Heavenly Human Island vanished still lingers in my mind. It's inevitable. To save the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, which has become my family. Ignoring Zhongli's screams that resemble pleas, I send a message to Han Wei and head to the place we promised to meet. Now, not much time is left to change the fate of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Tot. I left Thunder Spirit Island and headed towards Temporal Fate Island. Tot. Temporal Fate Island is still rocky. Originally, Temporal Fate Island is an island that's not used for much other than being crammed in a corner to manage the life register. Hence, there aren't many people living there. How many days have I waited on Temporal Fate Island? Pot. Han Wei's dull light appears, and she flies in using the flying escape technique. It's been a while. Thunder Spirit Island is in an uproar thanks to your betrayal. Is that so? I reply indifferently and stand up. Please keep your promise. Well, all right. Have you gathered the people? Yes. I've also spoken to my father. The Palace Lord of Penglai Palace has recognized you as the new sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and will support you. I will connect you to my father, so show the proper respect. Understood. She takes out a small flask from her storage bag. Chalak. She removes the lid and sprinkles the liquid, which forms a water mirror in the air. Wong. The water mirror vibrates and soon reflects a distant landscape. Inside the Heaven Earth Palace. In one of the inner spaces, shrouded in a whirlwind of dust, a figure is seen. Sitting in a lotus position amidst the dust storm, the figure's gaze meets mine. I, the unworthy cultivator Jin Eunhyun, greet the great Palace Lord of Penglai Palace and the Grand Guardian of the Heaven Earth Palace, Integration Stage Grand Cultivator Han Wan. Han Wan simply looks at me without saying much. Then, Han Wei, kneeling beside me, begins to present her petition to Han Wan. Palace Lord, this is the person I mentioned before. Please, I beseech the Palace Lord to recognize and support the activities of the new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect with your authority. How many disciples does this new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect have? Upon his daughter's request, Han Wan opens his mouth to ask. Han Wan gestures towards me. I connect Yun Jin and Hong Su Ryong through a transforming image talisman. The talisman floats in the air, connecting them to the water mirror created by Han Wan. Hong Su Ryong is currently tied up in her cave residence, undergoing self-imposed training to ascend to the 4-axis stage. She briefly meets my gaze and then bows her head towards the Grand Cultivator Han Wan. I, Hong Surong, a Grand Elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect at the Heavenly Being stage, support the new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Upon her words, Han Wan nods and looks away. Yuan Yu steps forward. I make Yuan Yu speak. I, Yuan Yu, an elder of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect at the nascent soul stage, support the new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Han Wan seems to glance at Yuan Yu for a moment and then nods. Did he notice? However, it seems he lets it be without much concern despite noticing. His interest appears minimal. Lastly, Han Wan's gaze shifts to the water mirror connected to Yun Jin. Yun Jin is currently participating in the expedition to the Devil Realm, waiting at the entrance to the realm. Greetings, Sir Grand Cultivator. Oh, is that not right? I greet Sir Grand Cultivator. That is, Yun Jin, a disciple of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, support the new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Han Wan silently observes Yun Jin. I step forward and speak. These individuals wish for the new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, so we ask the Palace Lord to recognize us. And then, suddenly, a surge of red intent flares up around Han Wan. What? The gaze of the figure sitting cross-legged within the dust storm turns menacing. He glares at Yun Jin. You, this monster. You're still alive. You are truly a vile, resilient, and filthy life. As Han Wan rages, his will is transmitted through a communication technique, causing the heaven and earth spiritual energy to violently fluctuate. What's happening? I command Han Wei, the law enforcer of Penglai Palace. I absolutely do not acknowledge this so-called new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect or whatever it is that this filthy monster supports. I hate traitors who betray their sect the most. Immediately, bring those traitors before me. Mobilize all of Penglai Palace's power if necessary. I quickly stand up. The next moment, Han Wei with a changed gaze strikes at me. I, as the Palace Lord of Penglai Palace, command. Issue a bounty for these traitors across the entire human race. Chapter 253, Heavenly Tribulation, 5. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0 Rel. I quickly strategize. The immediate priority is the enemy before me. Han Wei and Han 1 have both become enemies at the same time. Han 1 is currently transmitting a visual from the distant Heaven-Earth Palace within the human race territory, and Han Wei is unleashing attacks in front of me. However, I quickly make a decision and act on it. Whoa. As my consciousness accelerates, I draw out the colorless glass sword and swing it towards the water mirror displayed by Han 1. Zero. Before Han 1 can even react, the water mirror shatters into pieces. At that moment, a beam of light shot by Han Wei narrowly missed my back. It's a perilously close decision, but I quickly read the celestial energy. Fortunately, the bad luck has dissipated. At the integration stage, even a transmitted image can be used to perform spells, so preemptive action is essential. I meet Han Wei's cold gaze head-on. It's regrettable that it has come to this, but my father's command is absolute, and I have no choice. Is that so? I understand. Just surrender quietly. No matter how renowned a genius you are, the gap between the nascent soul stage and the heavenly being stage cannot be overcome, especially if you're up against me. You seem confident in your abilities. I raise the colorless glass sword as I speak. She calmly replies, "You don't think that you can face me just because you blocked a casual strike from me last time, do you?" Suddenly, she changes her stance, which had been merely extending her arm and shooting out spiritual power. Coom. She shifts her stance, taking on a posture reminiscent of martial arts. Martial arts? No. The stance lacks practicality. It's purely for show. From the perspective of a martial artist, it's just a flamboyant display of form without substance. However, from a cultivator's perspective, the meaning is different. That posture is a formation. Zirit, zirit, zirit. The air tingles. This Han Wei feels different from before. Her previously somewhat lackluster momentum reverses, now revealing a terrifyingly malevolent aura. Kugugugugu. The area begins to vibrate intensely. Let me show you. The divine teachings allowed only to the Palace Lord of Penglai Palace and their direct lineage. The next moment, I instinctively extend my sword. The feeling that I must block this saturates my mind and soul. Yin-Yang Mountain. Red Yang energy from the sky and blue Yin energy from the ground swirls together to form an enormous taiji that crushes down towards me. The massive taiji seems to engulf the entire world before becoming one. Coom. I instinctively feel it. I rush forward with my sword towards Han Wei, but at the same time, my sword can't touch her. The form of the taiji, covering the world, the vast form of the taiji that envelopes my body became a spherical curse that trapped me. Kugugugugu. Inside the form of the taiji, immense pressure is felt. 5 Elements Mountain. Then, Han Wei takes another position with a clear voice, forming another formation with her entire body. Dragon Vein. The vast dragon veins of the earth surge up. The dragon veins, risen by her will, seem to split into the energy of the 5 elements around the taiji prison that traps me, circling it and wrapping a 5-colored band around the shape of the taiji. Kain. The strength of the curse that bounds me becomes even stronger as the energies of taiji and the 5 elements merge. Yin-Yang 5 Elements, Mount Tai. I quickly deduce the true nature of this curse. A blessing. The nature of this curse is a kind of blessing. Although I can't move from within, this curse also protects me from external attacks. Why would she cast a blessing on me? No, damn it. I grit my teeth, realizing the attack Han Wei is about to unleash. Kuguguguk. Significant pressure weighs down on my body, making movement difficult. Coom. Han Wei changes her stance. Each of her hands swirl with black and white lights, emanating both sacred and dense devilish energy. Splitting Emperor. Snap. She claps her hands together, swirling with black and white energy. Then she takes a step forward and dives towards the Yin and Yang 5 elements prison enclosing me, spreading her arms wide as she collides. Simultaneously, I feel the Yin and Yang 5 elements prison that imprisons me being torn apart. After casting a blessing on me and synchronizing it with my energy, the Yin and Yang 5 elements disintegrates into 7 pieces. I'm engulfed in the swirling lights, feeling as though the energy coursing through my body is being finely dissected. Shiying. Han Wei, looking at the giant dust cloud that formed in a radius of about 500 li in front of her, brushes off her hands emotionlessly. Did I get him? That should have been enough. A direct hit from the ultimate technique of Penglai Palace, the Mount Tai Splitting Emperor technique, would instantly kill even those of the same realm, and those in the late stages of the heavenly being stage or at the grand perfection would not be able to escape fatal wounds. It was a bit excessive for someone at the grand perfection nascent soul stage, but he was a genius of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, so it wasn't inappropriate. Han Wei waits for Seo Eunhyun's nascent soul to emerge, watching the dust cloud. If this strike reduced the fragile body of the nascent soul stage cultivator to dust, capturing only the nascent soul and taking it to her father would conclude this unexpected mission. It was an interesting encounter, but it ended regretfully. She clicks her tongue and waves her hand. Why-ish. At her gesture, the wind blows, clearing the dust cloud in front of her within 500 li. And then, she shudders. Why-ish. Exclamation point. A man, naked yet covered in smoke, stands with a glass sword in hand, grinning with his teeth bared. The naked man, Seo Eunhyun, chuckles and spits out a mouthful of rotten blood. For 3,000 years, rumors had it you were at the mid-heavenly being stage, so our golden divine heavenly thunder sect thought of Senior Han as somewhat of a dullard. SHRK. He wipes the blood from his mouth, looking at Han Wei with bloodshot eyes. On behalf of the golden divine heavenly thunder sect, I apologize for that. Having mastered such a technique, I suppose it could have taken a bit more time. Impressive. You survived that. Han Wei genuinely marvels. But that's all. He must have picked up some body refining method. But that's as far as he goes. Why? Once again, the heaven and earth spiritual energy vibrates, and the energy of the yin and yang 5 elements begins to envelop Seo Eunhyun in the form of a sphere. Her hands start to gather black and white light again. Remarkable. Then, let's see if you can take another. Haha. But the next moment, Seo Eunhyun swings his sword. What? Sound, perception, and reaction fails to keep up. Before she knows it, Han Wei witnesses Seo Eunhyun's colorless glass sword piercing through her yin and yang 5 elements prison and rushing towards her chest. It's inevitable. Han Wei diverts the gathered immortal devil energy for defense instead of offense, managing to block Seo Eunhyun's attack. Once again, a flash covers all directions. Kugugugugu. As the flash subsides, what is visible is Seo Eunhyun pressing down the colorless glass sword with one hand, and Han Wei desperately blocking it with both hands. Remarkable, Senior Honorable. Seo Eunhyun sincerely marvels as he looks at her. Shocked by his brute force, Han Wei looks up at the sky. What? And in the sky, her celestial energy reveals a pattern symbolizing inevitable defeat. Seo Eunhyun continues. To think the technique you've mastered is similar to mine. I click my tongue as I look at her. She is blocking my sword with her seemingly delicate arms. How could she block my strength, which had been refined to the utmost limit through demon beast methods, with just her arms? The answer is simple. She, too, has been practicing demon beast methods. But at the same time, what she mastered is also a technique of the Heaven Tribe. Is this Mount Tai splitting Emperor technique a technique that handles the power of both Heaven and Earth tribes? The Heaven Tribe focuses on spiritual, law, power, and spells, while the Earth Tribe concentrates on physical strength and vitality. However, theoretically, the Heaven Tribe can learn all methods of Heaven, Earth, and Heart tribes. And occasionally, individuals from the Heaven Tribe do indeed learn techniques from other tribes. Among them, a training method that emphasizes both the spiritual power-focused methods of the Heaven Tribe and the physicality-focused methods of the Earth Tribe is known as Law and Body Dual Cultivation. Or, for those who have mastered both methods of the Heaven and Earth Tribes, it's also called Heaven and Earth Dual Cultivation. Han Wei's Mount Tai Splitting Emperor technique is such a method of Heaven and Earth Dual Cultivation. Kuguguguk. I understand why it took 3,000 years just to reach the mid-heavenly being stage. She isn't a severe dullard. In terms of talent, perhaps she is just an average mortal. Rather, reaching the mid-heavenly being stage by practicing Heaven and Earth Dual Cultivation with the talent of a common mortal is an achievement in itself. Such a training method naturally takes a long time. Insane, unbelievable. How have you been practicing Heaven and Earth Dual Cultivation? And as much as that, Han Wei's pupils tremble as she realizes the extent of my strength. A mere 100 years into your cultivation, and you've managed to overpower me with Heaven and Earth Dual Cultivation? Impossible. Certainly, my growth rate seems nonsensical at a glance. She looks up at me with a desolate gaze, biting her lips tightly. Is this what a true genius is? I don't respond, but instead apply more force to the hand holding the sword. Kugugugugu. The ground where she stands caves in, and she begins sinking into the earth. The next moment, shook. In an instant, I exert a great force, breaking my sword free from her grasp and splitting her head with the colorless glass sword. I embed the sword nearly to the hilt, cutting her in two before retrieving my sword. Chijijik. She slowly begins to regenerate, and I speak while looking at her. For a typical heavenly being cultivator, no, even for an unprepared heavenly being at grand perfection, they would have been surely split apart by Senior Han's attack. Her Mount Tai Splitting Emperor technique possesses a vicious power. The reason I was able to overpower her with physical strength is also because her Mount Tai Splitting Emperor technique is focused on using the body itself as an exit for the energy to erupt, whereas the Azure Spirit Starlight Quintessence Great method is focused on purely growing the physical body itself. Moreover, I could suppress her only because I evolved the demon beast method and temporarily laid down the Mad Lord's circuits and the strength of an immortal beast within my body. Had I not protected my body with the treading heaven's formless sword, I would have surely become Seo Unhyun powder. The power of heaven and earth tribes, the circuit of the Mad Lord, the power of immortal beasts, and encasing myself with treading heaven's formless sword were barely enough to keep my body intact. It's unnecessary to further explain the potency of Han Wei's attack. I regenerate my pulverized clothes using a clothing restoration spell. Then, farewell. It's unfortunate our agreement has fallen through. I thought about taking Han Wei hostage and storming into the Heaven-Earth Palace's flying immortal platform, but immediately dismissed the idea. Judging by the intent shown by Penglai Palace Lord Han Wan when dealing with his child, he doesn't seem particularly attached to Han Wei, and might instead completely obliterate me along with the hostage. The Heaven-Earth Palace's flying immortal platform is no longer an option. I fly up into the sky, leaving Temporal Fate Island, lost in thought. Even for me, charging into the Heaven-Earth Palace, where an integration stage Grand Cultivator resides and 4-axis stage cultivators swarm around patrolling, is not something I have the audacity to attempt. And the Mount Tai splitting Emperor technique Han Wei practiced is ultimately Han Wan's innate method. If the Mount Tai splitting Emperor technique is primarily a heaven and earth dual cultivation method, it will possess power surpassing 1 or 2 stages even in the integration stage. From what I know, Grand Cultivator Han Wan is an early integration stage cultivator. However, recalling the Mount Tai splitting Emperor technique Han Wei just demonstrated, I realized that Grand Cultivator Han Wan's true capabilities are far beyond the initial stages. Facing a Grand Perfection 4-axis one-on-one is tough enough, let alone effectively facing a mid to late integration stage cultivator. Having decisively given up on the Heaven-Earth Palace, I ponder my next move. Then, how should I descend to the head realm? The first thing that comes to mind is the lowest level of the Serving Command arc. If the lowest level of the Serving Command arc can lead to the lower realm, it's worth a try. Of course, going to the Serving Command arc swarming with the demon race, bypassing Seo Huiol's eyes and Oh Hai Seo's abilities to reach the lowest floor, then overcoming the ship controlling Envoy Gurion stationed there. The difficulty itself is insane, otherwise, I would have immediately proceeded. Then, what's the other option? Another method comes to mind. The Void Spirit Pond in the Devil Realm. Using the Void Spirit Pond can also lead to the lower realm. However, the Void Spirit Pond isn't a stable flying immortal platform, and there's a high risk of being swept into a spatial storm and dropping off somewhere along the way. Where to go? Something presumed to be a seal placed on Zhongli had already significantly unraveled. Perhaps soon, the owner of Heavenly Punishment will come seeking the attraction. The decision is made swiftly. To the Void Spirit Pond. There's no time to waste, especially not enough to dawdle and watch Seo Huiol's scheming ways. It's also hard to predict how things will be twisted when making a plan to stick Zhongli into Seo Huiol's mouth against such an opponent. Besides, there are things I need to ask. I remember the attitude Grand Cultivator Han Wan showed towards Yun Wei, grinding my teeth. She assured me that Han Wan wouldn't recognize her. Despite such a confident declaration, Han Wan recognized her at first glance and erupted in rage, leading to this tangled situation. I will definitely demand answers about this incident. Chapter 254, Heavenly Tribulation 6. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0 Rel. Beneath the punishment lightning cave of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect where the early stage disciples of the sect who committed crimes are sent, Jean Byuk-ho flies with sparks of thunder trailing behind him towards the area. Boom. At the deepest bottom of the punishment lightning cave. There, a woman is tied with dozens of chains. Hong Su-ryong. Jean Byuk-ho asks the woman, Hong Su-ryong. Information has come in. You supported Jin Eunhyun's act of stealing the Heavenly Lightning Banner and his proclamation of a new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Because of that incident, Penglai Palace suddenly issued a bounty in anger. You were not listed in the bounty as you defended yourself by saying that you were being punished in the punishment lightning cave of the sect, but still, public opinion about you is not good. There are not just a few who say that your Grand Elder position should be immediately revoked. Is that so? Just tell me one thing. Why did you support Jin Eunhyun? Merely because you are dual cultivation partners? At that question, Hong Su-ryong smiles faintly. Beyond being simple dual cultivation partners, that person wouldn't do anything that would harm the sect. Jin Byuk-ho lets out a sigh. What he is doing is essentially dragging the reputation of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect to the ground. I believe in him. Soon, the expulsion of Jin Eunhyun, no, Seo Eunhyun, will be finalized with the Ancestral Command, and he will be completely excommunicated from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. If you continue to side with him even after he is completely expelled, I have no choice but to keep you in solitary confinement in the punishment lightning cave. Is that so? Then it's not bad to face the wall until I reach the 4-axis stage. I'll be going. Whoosh. Jin Byuk-ho soon leaves, and at the bottom of the punishment lightning cave, Hong Surayong looks up at the sky. What are you doing, you? She absent-mindedly looks at the sky, thinking of Seo Eun-hyun. Because she was chained, she was able to survive, albeit forcefully, even when the entire sect was momentarily distracted by the heavenly lightning banner. The chains that bound her were made and bound by herself. Hong Surayong had sworn that she would not unbind these chains until she sees the next stage. He wouldn't do anything harmful, but Seo Eun-hyun. Even so, I resent these chains now. She is the one who wants to go and ask him what had happened immediately. Even when she accepted Seo Eun-hyun's proposal, she only decided after seeing his intent. But still, she hadn't thought that what Seo Eun-hyun talked about would actually happen. However, it has already passed. What should I do? There's nothing she can do right away. Since these chains were made by her own special technique, they won't be released until she lifts the restrictions she had set. There's only one thing I can do. Elevate my realm. Increase my power. That is the best Hong Surayong can do. I will definitely increase my power and elevate my realm, then come to ask you. Seo Eun-hyun, was there a meaning to what you did? She doesn't intend to reprimand or interrogate him. Instead, she intends to confirm her belief that Seo Eun-hyun would never have done something wrong. So wait for me. I will follow the path you have shown me, and surely. Wawoom. She slightly opens her eyes and separates her consciousness. The separated consciousness seems to move around her for a while, and then returns to her consciousness. I will break free from the limits of the martial arts I've known so far. Ultimate pinnacle. She vows to leap towards the state beyond 5 energies converging to the origin that Seo Eun-hyun had shown her. Determined to vindicate Seo Eun-hyun's innocence, she continues her cultivation at the bottom of the punishment lightning cave. Jin Byuk-ho is troubled. He, carrying the title of the Supreme Sect Master, is ironically running around the sect trying to manage the situation. For that reason, Elder Seo Eun-hyun will be expelled. We prohibit the formation of any factions that follow Seo Eun-hyun from now on. Seo Eun-hyun was a genius among geniuses within the sect, possessed a considerable status, and thus had more than a few followers. Jin Byuk-ho is notifying these followers to officially stop following Seo Eun-hyun anymore. In the midst of this, he arrives at Thundercloud Peak. He looks at a figure standing dazedly where the remnants of the Thunder Tribu Hall stand. It's Jin Y, the vice sect leader of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Elder Jin. Jin Byuk-ho approaches Jin Y with a troubled expression. Jin Y has an indescribable expression on his face. To him, Seo Eun-hyun was his greatest pride and joy. Although he had taught him little as a master, Seo Eun-hyun was Jin Y's disciple, and had always revered Jin Y. Jin Y, too, had been smiling for decades thanks to Seo Eun-hyun. But now, Jin Y looks like an old man who has come to a funeral. Jin Eun-hyun. No, Seo Eun-hyun was the sect's greatest genius. Seo Eun-hyun was a genius and the pride of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. But not anymore. That pride of the sect is now betraying the sect, stealing the Heavenly Lightning Banner, and attempting to establish a new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. At the same time, according to information from Punglai Palace, Seo Eun-hyun is a traitor to the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect and has been in collusion with Jin Wei, whom Jin Byuk-ho had been searching for. Perhaps, we should not have been concerned about John Myung-hoon's etiquette, but should have paid attention to Seo Eun-hyun's intentions. It's all my fault for not looking after my disciple as a master. Jin Y, tormented, sits down and sighs. Jin Byuk-ho watches Jin Y's back for a while before heavily saying, with the ancestral command, we plan to excommunicate Seo Eun-hyun. Yes. Jin Y answers heavily. Stealing the divine artifact, denying the current sect to claim a new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, and joining hands with the sect's traitor, is a grave crime. Moreover, he was confirmed to be the next sect leader, so it's right to impose such a punishment. However, senior brother, Jin Y turns to Jin Byuk-ho and speaks. Though Jin Byuk-ho is far superior in terms of talent, Jin Y and Jin Byuk-ho were disciples of the previous Supreme Sect Master, making them senior and junior brothers. Can we delay his excommunication a little longer? Jin Y asks with a trembling voice, touching the ruins of the Thunder Tribute Hall, which had rotted away due to Seo Eun-hyun's curse. Punglai Palace is pressuring us to quickly formally expel him and pursue him. Also, the disciples of our sect are disturbed, so we need to expel him quickly. Is that so? I understand. If that is the will of my senior brother. No, the Supreme Sect Master, I will follow it. He answers powerlessly, hanging his head, and Jin Byuk-ho leaves Jin Y's side with a bitter feeling. What do the two of you think? Jin Byuk-ho called the current sect leader, Jin Lin, and the next sect leader, Jin Jinshan, to ask. Jin Lin, Jin Byakuo's cousin, and his son, Jin Jinshan, unanimously say, "We believe that it is correct to excommunicate Xiao Unhyun as soon as possible to quell the voices of those in the sect who are agitated, and to receive support from Penglai Palace to pursue Xiao Unhyun and retrieve the heavenly lightning banner." Jin Lin gives his opinion coldly, and Jin Jinshan sighs. Jin Unhyun, no, Xiao Unhyun, was a symbol of hope for the sect. Announcing his expulsion under the ancestral command will inevitably lead to discord throughout the sect. Is that your opinion, Chan? I don't know. Logically, excommunicating Xiao Unhyun is correct. However, those influenced by Xiao Unhyun are still very shaken. Notably, Myung-hoon is having the hardest time. John Myung-hoon, didn't he dislike Xiao Unhyun? I thought so too, but... Kurung. As they speak, several red lightning bolts shoot up towards the sky from John Myung-hoon's cave residence. Understood. I'll go see John Myung-hoon as well. Jin Byakuo sighs and flies towards John Myung-hoon. Jin Byakuo lands in front of John Myung-hoon's cave residence. Sohei. Ah, grandfather. He catches the worried gaze of Jin Sohei outside John Myung-hoon's cave residence. How is John Myung-hoon? He's having a hard time right now. Weren't he and Xiao Unhyun not on good terms? Yes, for Myung-hoon, Elder Xiao Unhyun was a wall and a mountain to overcome. But, at the same time, it seems he was also a strong pillar of support for him. I see. Boom. Once again, red lightning furiously swirls inside John Myung-hoon's cave residence. Jin Byakuo looks at the lightning for a moment before walking into the interior of John Myung-hoon's cave residence. Boom. He pushes aside the red lightning and enters, startled by its powerful force. He's strong. He guesses at John Myung-hoon's rage. It was already known among the higher ranks of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect that John Myung-hoon becomes stronger with anger. Even the records of their founding ancestor, Yang Sujin, mention growth alongside anger, so it was accepted that John Myung-hoon would be the same based on that precedent. However, Jin Byakuo is a bit surprised by the unexpected sight he encounters upon reaching John Myung-hoon. I thought he would be rampaging. Contrary to his expectations, John Myung-hoon is calmly sitting in a meditative posture, practicing his methods. But Jin Byakuo felt even more eerie upon seeing the calm John Myung-hoon. Not an erupting anger, but a suppressed, compacted, and refined anger is faintly felt. You've arrived, Supreme Sect Master. Forgive me for not standing up as I am overcoming a critical moment. You? Jin Byakuo widens his eyes. If he isn't mistaken, John Myung-hoon is on the verge of attaining the Yang spirit. He is trying to reach the mid-nascent soul stage in just a short time after reaching the nascent soul stage. Understood. Continue what you were doing. Thank you. More than gratitude, Jin Byakuo feels a repressed anger in his gaze and sighs. Then, he speaks to John Myung-hoon. We've decided to expel Xiao Unhyun using the ancestral command. What are your thoughts? Does my opinion matter? According to the sect's rules, isn't it natural to expel him? Your opinion matters. Why? Because I am the possessor of the heavenly golden thunder body. Jin Byakuo shakes his head at John Myung-hoon's question. Because you, who was influenced by Xiao Unhyun. Jin Byakuo, looking at John Myung-hoon, carefully chooses his words and continues. Are his close friend. Close friend. Ha ha. And then, John Myung-hoon begins to laugh. Ha ha ha. You're mistaken. He's nothing like a friend to me. Before we entered the sect, our relationship was that of a superior and subordinate. Upon entering the sect, our roles reversed, and I've spent decades grinding my teeth, trying to revert our relationship back to what it was. I've always harbored feelings of inferiority and resentment towards him. Expulsion? It's truly a good thing. Please do so. He was the cause of my anger, the culprit who prevented me from spending time with Sohei, a lowlife who beat me up over past incidents before we joined the sect. He always provoked me with his words, beat me up under the pretense of helping me improve my skills and teaching me unnecessary things arrogantly. He would remind me of my hometown with occasional miserable memories, meddled in my relationship with Sohei unnecessarily, and sometimes, despite being poor at drinking, would have a drink or two, and he even helped me accept the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect as family. Crackle. Jin Byakuo involuntarily takes a step back as he sees the blood-red lightning boiling violently from John Myung-hoon. Why? Why did that damn man make me part of this family only to betray the sect himself? Why? Really? I don't understand the reason. Crackle. The face of John Myung-hoon, which appeared calm, gradually distorts with feelings of betrayal as he speaks, and the thickness and red glow of the lightning grows stronger. Why? Boom. Once again, a wave of red lightning sweeps through the residence, and Jin Byakuo raises one arm, pulling up his spiritual power to block the wave of lightning. I see. Jin Byako realizes. Jean Myung-hoon is practically already at the mid-stage of the nascent soul. He will be able to reach the mid-nascent soul stage just by facing a heavenly tribulation. This is the heavenly golden thunder body. Although he had been significantly behind Seo Eun-hyun in terms of growth rate, Jin Byako instinctively feels at this moment. From now on, Jean Myung-hoon's growth rate will catch up to Seo Eun-hyun's in a single breath. I want to know why he did such nonsense and betrayed the sect. After venting his rage, Jean Myung-hoon speaks with a slightly exhausted face. Jin Byako sighs as he looks at Jean Myung-hoon. In the Golden Thunder Hall, Jin Byako sits in the seat of the Supreme Sect Master, thinking about Seo Eun-hyun. After meeting with the disciples of the sect and conveying the news of Seo Eun-hyun's expulsion, he asked for their opinions. Logically, expelling him immediately with the ancestral command is the correct decision. However, emotionally, that is not possible. The reason is something Jin Byako knows best. Why? Why did he betray the sect? He sighs deeply, stroking his face. Seo Eun-hyun is the genius who could have changed the history of the sect. And now, he is also the person to be listed as the worst traitor alongside Jin Wei, known as the worst traitor in the history of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. Jin Byako believed in Seo Eun-hyun. He, too, had regarded Seo Eun-hyun as the pride of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, just as much as Jin Wei did. But in the end, due to Seo Eun-hyun's hidden schemes, the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect was betrayed by Seo Eun-hyun. Even he himself finds it hard to believe that he has to expel Seo Eun-hyun. But it is inevitable. Seo Eun-hyun had already betrayed the sect, and drastic measures are needed. Seo Eun-hyun's goal is clear. As he said before, it must be to place the heavenly lightning banner in the head realm. If that happens, more than 70 to 80% of the current Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's power will instantly disappear. Without the heavenly lightning banner, the position of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect is uncertain. In the worst case, the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect might vanish into the annals of history. The option of following Seo Eun-hyun into the head realm to retrieve the heavenly lightning banner is practically impossible. Descending to the lower realm is possible for those who have reached the heavenly being stage or higher, but absolutely none of the cultivators who ascended to the bright cold realm returned to the lower realm. At best, they transmitted information to their descendants left in the lower realm, and most did not interfere with the affairs of the lower realm. The reason is simple. Descending to the lower realm means they have to ascend again. Ascending isn't child's play that can be done easily once reaching the grand perfection of the heavenly being stage. The risk of death from spatial storms is high, and there's the risk of encountering bizarre creatures living in the gaps between dimensions. Sometimes one might even see the terrifying beings between dimensions, making ascending a gamble that risks everything. Especially the head realm they ascended from is even more threatened by such dangers. Descending from above is no problem. However, if one wants to ascend again from within the head realm, even those at the 4-axis stage have to wait until the opening period of the ascension gate. The head realm is especially known for its strong world shield force compared to other decaying corpse realms, making it difficult for even 4-axis cultivators to freely come and go. If it's Seo Eun-hyun, even though he's at the nascent soul stage, he lacks nothing to reach the heavenly being stage. Soon, he will be able to descend to the head realm by his own power. If not, he'll somehow find a way back to the head realm through the assistance of someone above the heavenly being stage. Time is of the essence. They have to capture Seo Eun-hyun before he returns to the head realm. Seo Eun-hyun. Jin Byako grits his teeth. I've decided. You. And finally, he successfully concludes his decision regarding Seo Eun-hyun, embracing his complex emotions. At Thundercloud Peak, where the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect's divine artifact was sealed, the elders and higher-ups of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect gathered at its peak. They were summoned by the Supreme Sect Master's order. And from above them, Jin Byako shouts. Listen, everyone. Jin Byako speaks with a grave voice. We have recently suffered a tragic event. We were betrayed by the disciple we believe to be the sect's greatest genius. This is an act that should have never happened. It is an atrocious crime that denies the sect's hierarchy, relations, and master-disciple bonds. However, this Supreme Sect leader knows. The disciple who has betrayed us had a significant influence on the sect and had many followers. But listen, that disciple has fled with the sect's divine artifact, the Heavenly Lightning Banner, declared a new Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect, and is conspiring with Jin Wei, the sect's traitor. Therefore, after discussing with Council of Elders, this Supreme Sect Master has decided on the disciplinary action for that disciple. Jin Byako takes out the ancestral command from his pocket. I declare the expulsion of Seo Eun-hyun from the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder sect. However, the expulsion by the ancestral command is not permanent. Going forward, a pursuit team by the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect will be formed to track down the traitor Seo Eunhyun. The decision whether to permanently expel the traitor Seo Eunhyun with the Ancestral Command will be made when the pursuit team captures him and retrieves the sect's divine artifact. He looks around the elders and locks eyes with one person. Pursuit team leader, John Myung-hoon, come forward. At those words, John Myung-hoon steps forward. From now on, John Myung-hoon, pillar of the sect and peer of Seo Eunhyun, will lead the pursuit team tracking the traitor. The Ancestral Command is entrusted to him, and when Seo Eunhyun is captured and the Heavenly Lightning Banner is retrieved, the decision on his permanent expulsion will be made based on the pursuit team leader's decision. Jin Byuk-ho hands the plaque identified as the Ancestral Command to John Myung-hoon. Grand Cultivator Han Won, for personal reasons, has also issued a bounty to track down Jin Wei, the sect traitor and collaborator with Seo Eunhyun. If the sect's traitors are captured by Han Won's forces of Punglai Palace, they will be punished according to their methods. They may be the sect's traitors, but they are still our sect's traitors. Therefore, before they are captured by the other forces, let us capture them with our own hands and restore our sect's honor. Jin Byuk-ho, John Myung-hoon, Jin Wei, and all those related to Seo Eunhyun feel an indescribable bitterness at Jin Byuk-ho's words. Volunteer for the pursuit team, please, with our own hands, and the one who is the future of our sect. Thus, for the traitor of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, the Seo Eunhyun pursuit team is formed. Chapter 255, Heavenly Tribulation 7. Translator, Translating Novice. Editor, Z0 Rel. Woom. The weather was foul. Dark clouds gathered all around, obstructing the view of the sky. Glimpsing through the gaps in the clouds, I read the celestial energy and could tell that many were tracking me through my celestial energy. This will be troublesome. Of course, that was all there was to it, and I felt no particular thrill otherwise. The integration stage grand cultivators weren't specifically chasing me. At most, they considered me to be at the grand perfection of the nascent soul stage, and at best, the heavenly being stage, only sending pursuers at the early stages of the 4-axis stage after me, so escaping was no issue. Rather, the problem at the moment was something else. It's slowly coming into view. I frowned, gazing at the entrance to the Devil Realm ahead. The war with the true Devil Realm was about to start. Due to the minor butterfly effects caused by my regression, the timing of the war with the true Devil Realm had changed slightly from my previous life, but the war itself definitely happened. At this point, the human race had begun to invade and occupy the true Devil Realm by breaking through its entrance. I observed the 2 4-axis cultivators guarding the entrance to the true Devil Realm. Under the orders of Punglai Palace's Lord Han Won, I had been declared wanted by the entire human race, and it was certain that if I tried to pass there, I would be stopped by the 2 4-axis cultivators. Nevertheless, I had to break through those two, because Yun Wei is beyond there. The moment to show Yun Jin to Han Won through contact. At that time, Yun Jin and Yun Wei were just before entering the true Devil Realm, and right after Han Won recognized Yun Wei, the invasion of the true Devil Realm began, and they fled into it. I heard on my way here that Yun Jin had already become elusive in the true Devil Realm after crossing over. Once I get to the true Devil Realm, I should be able to find out her location through the linked communication artifact. After Yun Jin crossed over to the true Devil Realm, the communication artifact couldn't bridge the interdimensional distance, but once I also cross over, I should be able to locate her through the artifact. The problem is breaking through those two to get to the entrance of the true Devil Realm. In fact, 2 4-axis cultivators weren't an issue. I was confident enough to handle one each with General Seo, allowing us to break through. The issue was exposing my power. If it becomes known that I have the power equivalent to at least 2 mid-4-axis cultivators, the bounty on me will skyrocket. And from a situation where heavenly being stage cultivators were already following me, 4-axis cultivators might swarm me. Of course, as my rampages in the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect and my confrontations with Han Wei spread, 4-axis cultivators will gradually flock to me. But that is supposed to happen gradually. I have to avoid such an annoying situation from happening so soon. Information that Yun Wei had gone to the true Devil Realm has likely already been relayed to the Punglai Palace through the Human Race Grand Alliance, and the Punglai Palace, sharing information with the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, will start chasing after me. There's a high chance they will come after me into the true Devil Realm. I need to hurry before Punglai Palace and the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect begin their pursuit. How do I get past those two to the entrance of the Devil Realm? Using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts is problematic because the 2 4-axis cultivators are covering the dimensional gate with something similar to an axis foundation barrier by linking their axis. Simply using the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts wouldn't be enough to deceive them inside the barrier. What should I do? It's then. Master, do you intend to pass through those four-axis cultivators? Ah, Hong Fan. I hear Hong Fan speaking to me inside my peach garden painting, a type of storage scroll for living beings. Yes, do you have any methods? It seems you wish to pass through that barrier without revealing yourself. Is that correct? That's right. Then, I might be able to help. Oh, how so? Swoosh. Hong Fan emerges from the peach garden painting. Previously, while examining the human experimentation records of Grand Elder Hong, I discovered that the axis foundation barrier of four-axis cultivators is greatly influenced by the consciousness domain. That makes sense. And according to Grand Elder Hong's human experimentation findings, the part of the human that has the greatest influence on the consciousness domain is the human brain, especially the frontal lobe. Yes, that's true, but if I use a poison I've formulated, it can severely damage the frontal lobe of humans momentarily. For four-axis cultivators, it's a poison they can recover from after a few breaths, but without immunity, it will certainly work once. I stroke my chin, pondering. Then, the process of administering the poison is crucial. Indeed, since the opponents are four-axis seniors, if they notice the poisoning process and block the poison itself, there's no solution. All right, I'll administer the poison. Do you have a plan? Yes, first. I discuss with Hong Fan, devise a plan to administer the poison, and soon, we proceed with the execution. Swoosh. Good day, seniors. I brazenly approach the four-axis cultivators first. Are you heading to the True Devil Realm? Have you received a pass from the Human Race Grand Alliance? Wait a moment. Aren't you the one wanted by Penglai Palace? Yes, that's correct. Confidently admitting, I smile brightly. The first stage of the plan. First, I openly reveal my face, which is wanted by Penglai Palace, to attract their attention. Second, I mix Hong Fan's poison with the White Orchid Blessing incantation, conceal it with the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts, and scatter it towards the four-axis cultivators whose attention is focused on me. What have you done to us? The four-axis stage cultivators were focused on me, but as soon as they realized my spell wrapped in the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts had entered inside their barrier, they immediately noticed and became wary. Third, however, they notice my White Orchid Blessing incantation but can't immediately expel it. Essentially, the vast majority of living beings instinctively reject curses but accept blessings without resistance. This is a natural instinct of the living. Just like when Han Wei used the Mount Tai splitting emperor technique against me, I found it difficult to resist because her yin and yang 5 elements binding spell took the form of a blessing. As the saying goes, one cannot spit on a smiling face. A blessing is one of the hardest techniques to shake off. This is a blessing? I'm getting stronger and that is precisely the most terrifying poison. Taking advantage of the gap, Hong Fan's poison flows into the two cultivators. As Hong Fan said, four-axis cultivators brimming with vitality. It's a poison they can detoxify in a few breaths. But that is enough. A shock is delivered to their frontal lobes, their consciousness domain wavers, and soon the axis foundation barrier they had jointly erected begins to shake. An instant. A truly fleeting moment that a typical nascent soul cultivator could never catch, but that is enough for me. Whoosh. I accelerate my thoughts to the extreme, use the flying escape technique and the demon beasts gliding technique, and rush through the gap in the barrier. While the two four-axis cultivators are still disoriented, I manage to pass through the dimensional gate, successfully crossing over. It's done. Without using force, with only the power at the nascent soul or, at best, the heavenly being stage, I succeeded in breaking through the barrier of the four-axis stage. This greatly reduces the chance of my power being exposed and four-axis cultivators swarming after me. It worked. I smile contentedly, looking back at the dimensional gate behind me. I see signs of the four-axis cultivators trying to follow through the dimensional gate, but before they can cross into the Devil Realm, I use the record of transcending cultivation and exhausting martial arts to erase my presence and leave the human race's occupied territory in the Devil Realm. Well done, Hong Fan. I smile, pleased with our collaboration. Even though I had eluded the two four-axis seniors, they will likely perceive it as a trivial trick, like poison, not as my actual skill, so my true power will not be exposed just yet. I'm glad I could be of help to you in this way, Master. Haha, you've always been a help to me. I praise Hong Fan and take out the communication artifact. Now, it's time to meet Yunwei again. Devil Realm. Polluted Een Valley. The place is sticky with impure devilish energy gathering to form a swamp, making it a notorious gathering place for the filthier races of the Devil Realm. Because of this, not only the true Devil Realm itself, but also invaders from other dimensions tend to leave the polluted Een Valley alone. In short, polluted Een Valley is a kind of landfill in the Devil Realm that goes unnoticed. Whoosh. Using the flying escape technique, I arrive above polluted Een Valley and survey the surroundings. After waiting for a while, a signal comes from afar. It's Yunwei's signal. Whoosh. I immediately follow her signal, using the flying escape technique. Soon, among the countless valleys in polluted Een Valley, at the top of one that is inconspicuous and filled with Een energy, I arrive and find a crevice leading inside. Upon entering the crevice, the surrounding environment begins to change drastically. It's a formation. SSSSSSS. As I step in, the formation seems to morph, and then a path opens up right before me. I follow the path and soon arrive at a peach garden that is refreshingly clean and emitting pure spiritual energy, completely out of place with polluted Een Valley just moments before. You've come. I see a pavilion in one part of the peach garden. There, Yunwei, using Yunjin's body, is sitting in meditation, waiting for me. Yunwei shudders as she sees me holding the heavenly lightning banner. What madness! Why is the seal of the heavenly lightning banner undone except for one layer? I'm not sure myself, but it seems like the heavenly lightning banner somehow managed to undo its own seals. Yunwei's face twists in frustration. She mutters quietly, "Is it going to happen again, like 40,000 years ago?" What do you mean? Never mind. Originally, only Yunjin and my well-being mattered, but now that I've seen the state of the heavenly lightning banner, it can't be helped. Initially, I was planning to abandon you and live leisurely in the depths of the devil realm, but I'll make an exception and help you. Excuse me? Swoosh. With a wave of her hand, some kind of formation that had enveloped the entire peach garden is lifted. Realizing what she had plotted, I'm dumbfounded and with my mouth agape in astonishment. The formation she just dismantled is of the sealing type, meaning she originally planned to lure me here, seal me, and escape with Yunjin's body. What the? I already thought it was strange when you boldly claimed to be able to handle the Grand Cultivator. Are you playing with me? Sorry about that. But in the end, I've decided to cooperate with you. So isn't that all that matters? I frown at her nonchalant attitude. Truly non-caring. Anyway, I trusted your bold claim and presented Yunjin, but didn't we end up being noticed by the Grand Cultivator? Indeed. Even though I have my naive moments, I'm not foolish enough to reveal Yunjin in front of Han Wen after hearing that Yunwei had consumed Han Wen's true love. It all happened because Yunwei confidently assured me that she would be hiding deep within Yunjin's soul, and if they only communicated through a transforming image talisman, the Grand Cultivator would never notice. I trusted Yunwei's assertion that she knew more about the Grand Cultivator Han Wen than I did, so I facilitated the meeting between Yunjin and Han Wen through the talisman based on her confident promise. But this is the result. Yunwei clicks her tongue and says, "Sorry, but I swear on my nascent soul, I didn't deceive you regarding Han Wen. I had no idea that guy would develop such a skill. I never expected him to have opened such a powerful spiritual eye that he didn't have before." A spiritual eye? I press my throbbing head and ask, "You didn't anticipate at all he would develop such a mystical ability?" That's right. The last time I met him was 500 years ago at the Human Race Grand Alliance meeting. I participated as a quasi-integration stage Grand Cultivator, and back then, he definitely didn't have such an ability. How do you know that? Did you check? Yes. When we met 500 years ago, he tried to tear off my limbs, so I gouged out his eyeballs in return. When I checked them, there was nothing special about his eyes. Do you think it makes sense that he acquired an unbelievable spiritual eye ability that could recognize me hiding in Yunjin's soul from thousands of li away through a projection within 500 years? Naturally, I thought it would be fine because it's beyond common sense. I feel a headache coming on from their relationship. If your relationship with him is that bad, how have you not been killed by him by now? And isn't there a chance he'll leave Heaven Earth Palace to chase after you personally? Yeah, that'll never happen. I guarantee it. Yunwei speaks with a mischievous smile. When facing Han 140,000 years ago, I sacrificed my cultivation to curse him. I completely twisted and knotted the Taiji energy within his body with my Taiji quaking lightning body, driving him to the brink of death. Thanks to that, I successfully reduced him from the mid-integration stage to the 4-axis stage. The reason he sits as the Palace Lord of Heaven Earth Palace is that only the special energy of the Heaven Earth Palace can solve his problem. Until he fully recovers from that fatal injury and restores the twisted Taiji power, he will never leave the central region of the Heaven Earth Palace. That's a relief. Fortunately, it seems there will be no direct pursuit from Han Wen. I sigh. Anyway, with the situation tangled up like this, we can't return to the head realm through the flying immortal platform as originally planned. I was going to seek Han Wei's help, but that's no longer an option. Should we look for a void spirit pond in the devil realm then? I know the location of a void spirit pond. Oh, hearing my words, Yunwei looks pleasantly surprised. Well, then, that's very fortunate. We just have to go to the void spirit pond and then descend to the head realm. As long as the location of the Void Spirit Pond isn't something like the master bedroom of a true Devil Realm Grand Cultivator. Fortunately, it's a place we can go to, but there's a problem. What's the problem? We don't have a Heavenly Being Stage Cultivator. Hearing my words, Yunwei asks in confusion, why don't you just ascend to the Heavenly Being Stage? If you lack the heaven and earth spiritual energy, can't you sneak into a nearby human race occupied area and ascend to the Heavenly Being Stage there? I have something to say about that. I sigh and continue. I believe I've met all the conditions to rise to the Heavenly Being Stage. I've heard and understood all the enlightenment of the Heavenly Being Stage from the Grand Elders of the Golden Divine Heavenly Thunder Sect, and I've trained the heart one must hold when entering. Then what's the problem? I can't ascend to the Heavenly Being Stage. Yunwei looks perplexed, not understanding what I mean. That is, even though I've met all the conditions to break through, I just can't make the breakthrough to the Heavenly Being Stage. I have digested all the enlightenment connecting the microcosm within me to nature outside. I was also taught the formulas for how to break through, and thoroughly coated my spirit with madness to protect my mind from the wild currents of nature. But when I actually tried to ascend to the Heavenly Being Stage, there was no response at all. No matter how much heaven and earth spiritual energy I gathered, the spiritual energy inside and outside my body did not mix. It wasn't like the 7 stars ritual where the heavens were obstructing me. I just couldn't transition to the Heavenly Being Stage. Even when I tried to connect my inner microcosm to the outer nature with the gathered spiritual energy, there was no response. Do you know anything about this situation? I asked Yunwei, wondering if she might know something about such a case. After pondering for a while, Yunwei suddenly trembles and looks at me. I have a guess. It's something I've only heard about in ancient stories. I eagerly listened to her words. In the current situation, rising to the Heavenly Being Stage will be the most definite solution. However, her following words are beyond my imagination. You are already a heavenly being, at the grand perfection of the Heavenly Being Stage, no less. What?